mixer. I wouldn't think of using anything else.
Buy a white meter heater from SSEB now and you'll get it fully fitted with up to £49 off, quick as a flash. But wait. You don't have to start shelling out for it for 5 months.
Morning! You look like you could do with some life assurance.
Oh, yes.
Well, nobody can offer you a policy that will suit you better than Abbey Life.
Thank you very much.
Oh, and here's something to keep you going. Must be nearly lunchtime, eh?
Looks like it.
For unit trusts, health schemes, pensions and life assurance. Bet your life you'll thank Abbey Life.
Over 250 entrants throughout Western Europe vied for the BBI's Gold Medal Award for soft drinks. The award came to Scotland, to Loch Winnoch, home of crystal clear lemonade. We always knew we were Scotland's best. Now we're the best in Britain and Western Europe, and that's official. Drink crystal clear, buy the best, and put the ginger in your life.
Gamer's Old English Cider. It's the only thing to drink when you have an Old English thirst. Gamer's Old English, the original strong cider.
Hello there. We have a sports-packed afternoon ahead for you now this afternoon here in the Scottish, as the Scotsport team bring you the Scottish Cup Final 1987, live from Hampden Park, Dundee United versus St Mirren.
Hello, a very good afternoon to you and welcome to Cup Final Scotsport. As you can see, Hampden Park looks absolutely superb, and as you can also see, as Scotland play Mexico in an under-16 international, there's a very, very large crowd indeed. Difficult to estimate perhaps, but I would think somewhere around about 35,000 might well see the start of this afternoon's Cup Final. Good afternoon to you. At the beginning of the season, it would have been a very bold prediction to suggest that today's finalists would be St Mirren and Dundee United. But at the end of a season filled with cup upsets, it's going to be Jim McLean and Alex Smith, hoping to win the cup for the first time in their contrasting managerial careers. We'll have the whole story of the big match for you between now and 5:15. Later, of course, if there's extra time, with Jock Brown and Billy McNeil out at Hampden, and Andy Gray and Alec Miller assessing the play, and no doubt kicking every ball as well here in the Scotsport studio. I will also be keeping you up to date at half-time and full-time with the highlights of the FA Cup final at Wembley between Spurs and Coventry City. Well, over at Hampden, the atmosphere is building up nicely, as I said, towards kick-off. And as usual, the fans were there just around 2 o'clock when the team buses arrived. Dundee United were extra sharp, but we were there, in fact, when the St Mirren team bus arrived. And if the St Mirren players were feeling any pressure, then Alex Smith had a big smile for us there. And as David, there was absolutely no suggestion of any pressure at all. Jimmy Bone looked particularly relaxed. And if ever there was a classic situation where one team was a blend of youth and experience, this has to be it, because the manager has already decided that David Winnie will play at number 5 and not Peter Godfrey. There goes Kenny McDowell through there. Frank McGarvey, who knows all about the pressure of cup finals. And the big news is that Paul Lambert will play at 11, and we'll be getting Jock Brown and Billy McNeil to assess the situation at Hampden Park very shortly. So there's a disappointed gentleman there from formerly with Meadowbank, Peter Godfrey. He won't play, and he isn't, in fact, even on the subs who are Ian Cameron and Tony Fitzpatrick. More details of that in a moment. But a time now to introduce our two guests. I mentioned there, Andy, you know, the pressure inevitably that St Mirren will be feeling. I mean, how relevant is that in a final like this?
I think they'll be quite happy that they're underdogs. I don't think they'll feel any pressure. They can go there totally relaxed. And certainly from my own experiences in cup final going in as underdogs, I've always felt happier. You've nothing to lose after. You can go out, you can relax, enjoy the game, and I think they'll be quite happy that they're underdogs today, and they probably won't feel as much pressure as their opponents today. I think Dundee United will probably be under a lot more pressure than St Mirren lads.
Yes, Alec, it's almost an emotional day for you. This, having been at Love Street for so long and knowing these players so well. I mean, what are your thoughts about it today?
Well, I'm hoping it's a very good game. I really hope St Mirren win. I'd love to see the chairman after the game, and he'll be delighted. But as Andy says, going into the match as underdogs is very important, I believe. The pressure's on the other team. St Mirren will be very happy to have reached the final, and I think they'll go and they'll make it a carnival atmosphere and enjoy it.
Good. Okay then. Well, I think this gives us a very good opportunity to take a look at some of the key men who might perhaps, in their own ways, hold a key to this afternoon. And Andy, I would like you to look first of all at Billy Thompson, because he's had a marvellous season. He's had a couple of bad injuries, but for all that, he seems to be 100% fit, and he really has done a turn for United this season, hasn't he? As you'll see now.
I mean, he's grown in massive confidence, certainly since the last time I've seen him. Particularly in the air. I mean, that was a more difficult save than it looked at Arthur. And I think when a goalkeeper is growing in confidence, he'll come and do things like this. I mean, a goalkeeper that's suffering from any shortage of confidence won't come out and collect that, and that shows the stature. And this save as well, he probably doesn't know how he saved that, but then again, a lot of keepers will be proud of that save and he'll be delighted. And he's going to be a key figure, but I was talking to Alec before about him, and he reckons he's improved 100% certainly over this season.
I often think maybe the psychology of that Gary Lineker miss. I mean, Gary Lineker should not miss chances like that. But as a striker, you know that all strikers miss chances.
I know, that's true. But I mean, no, that's a great... things like that, little saves, probably not great saves, but it's little ones like that against somebody like Gary Lineker. He would go home and think, well, that was something special. And that is a confidence builder, of course it is, yeah.
And of course they then went away to Barcelona and did the business.
Yeah, they've always done it. United have done it this season when they've really needed to do it.
Interesting point. Well, one player who certainly has done it for them is Ian Ferguson. A case of a player moving from one club to another, really settling in and scoring very good goals as well as very important goals. And I know that you rate this one against Borussia as one of the goals of the season, Andy, in fact.
I think he did remarkably well here. It doesn't look a difficult goal, Arthur, but the lad had only a very, very small space to aim into. He was very composed, got a good position, and that's a difficult header. And I thought that was a tremendous finish. And the next one we're going to see is a goal from a man who has scored 30 goals and is brimming with confidence. The lad will score from anywhere. And I think when you give him the ball on the edge of the box here, and he's got 30 goals a season, that's a tremendous finish. I mean, it's goals like that today that are going to win cup finals. And a man with that amount of confidence could be the #1 important player for Dundee United.
Alec, he's going to be a problem for St Mirren, really, isn't he? He's having a tremendous season.
Round about the box, he's a very good striker of the ball on his right side. And he'll definitely pose problems, especially if he gets given a yard or two. That's the difference of being a quality striker. He only needs half a yard and he can get a shot in.
Right, now St Mirren's Ian Ferguson is a player who has improved quite sensationally this year. I mean, if there's one player in the St Mirren squad who've all grown up this year, it has to be this lad. And I still think that this goal you're going to talk us through, first of all, was really one of the best goals of the season.
Tremendous ball from David Winnie, and Ian makes a run in behind the Hearts back four. Henry Smith, I felt, came a wee bit early, but no mistake in the finish. Turned it in from a tight angle. If he'd have taken it another yard, they'd knocked it by, I would think. And this is a good piece of skill here. Two of them changes the play. And
nice
typical
touch,
McGarvey goal.
Nice touch, that. And he looks as if he's growing in confidence too, and I think that's an important thing too, isn't it?
Oh, the boy's definitely a winner. When I had signed him, I was delighted to get him on the forums, and he's proved what a good player he was, and he can become a great player. He's only 19, 20, and he's got tremendous attributes towards the game, and definitely he's one for the future.
Good. Right, we're going to take a look at someone who knows all about the pressures of Cup final now, and that's Frank McGarvey. I mean, he really has stayed with it well. I mean, it looked as if he might have slipped out of football, but he's right back in there again, and here he is doing what he does best, scoring goals.
Yes, tremendous run from Roy Aitken. Great ball, and Frank just puts his head in it. I think Hamish thought the net was for stopping it and let it get in.
That's cruel, isn't it?
No, Hamish is a tremendous goalkeeper. This is typical McGarvey goal. Inside the 6-yard box, finish, turn, finish, goal. And nobody can stop him. He's already scored a winner in the cup final, and he'll go today full of confidence. And this is McGarvey's stage, a big occasion, atmosphere of a cup final. Definitely he'll maybe try and settle down the youngsters in the St Mirren side, and they'll look for him to lead them at the start of the game. Players with experience will need to take over the younger ones to let them settle into the game.
Yeah, this question of inexperience, I mean, at United, I mean, a lot of the papers are talking about a hoodoo, Andy, which means that you haven't won the cup, although you've been there before, and it's an awful word to put around any player's neck. But McGarvey's influence will really be very, very significant, particularly with Tony Fitzpatrick not on the part from the start. He's got a fair bit of work to do, apart from trying to score a goal, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so, and people like Billy Abercrombie as well, who's got plenty of experience. They too probably will be trying, even now at this particular time, they'll be trying to relax the young lads. But I think having so many young players on the side, I think that might just be an incentive for them. It depends how hungry they are, Alec, at that age. I mean, you would know them better than me.
Definitely.
But if they're hungry for success, Arthur, at 19, 20, that might just be the thing that's going to turn the game their way. You know, that's the thing.
I suppose there's also the aspect, I remember, you guys won't, but I remember in '59, I remember David Lapsley, who skippered the St Mirren side, saying to me, you know, for a lot of the fellas, you know, the Tommy Brycelands, Alistair Miller, Jim Roger, it might be their only chance.
That's right.
And, you know, I feel sometimes that maybe some of the St Mirren lads are feeling that with no disrespect to the manager, but they might just never get back there again.
Definitely. I think that's why they'll take the occasion today. I do remember that cup final, Arthur. My father took me to that. I was the first in the cup final. But hopefully it'll be the same score.
Right,
in St Mirren's favour.
I don't remember it, by the way.
Right, I'm sure you don't. Right, I think we're just about ready to pop over to Hampden and enjoy some of the flavour about what's happening. And as we say, a lot of the players have come in. I've had a look at the pitch. I had a look at it yesterday. It's in very, very good condition. It's perfect. There's very, very little wind. And here we are talking to the two goalkeepers. So they're both talking to Sally McNair.
Well, Billy Thompson, born in Linwood and used to play in the same team as Campbell Money. In fact, you taught him half of what he knows.
Well, that's a nice thought. I don't know if he would agree with it or not, but I thoroughly enjoyed my years at St Mirren, and it was good to work with this man.
It was Campbell Money. You were really the reason for Billy Thompson leaving.
Well, I'm glad you think so, Sally. I think Billy just wanted to try something else, and I was just in a position that I was the one that had to come into the side after Billy left.
Well, I know that you voted for Billy as your Player of the Year in the vote this year.
Don't tell him that, for goodness sake. I think the big man's had an exceptional season, and I'm delighted that he's been named in the Scotland squads for the Brazil and England games.
Obviously it's a big day for you. You're looking out in particular for Paul Sturrock and Ian Ferguson.
I'm looking for every single one of the Dundee United players, including the big man. The big man hits a mean shot, you know.
And you're looking out for the other Ian Ferguson and of course Frank McGarvey and his great semi-final goal.
Yeah, they two strikers are very, very dangerous, and you can't take your eyes off them for a minute.
Everybody talks about Hampden, Hoodoo and Dundee United. You've had such good games in the UEFA Cup recently that surely that's all going to go today.
Obviously it stands you in good stead when you play in Europe, and it gives you a lot of confidence, and but today's game is going to be very, very difficult. Someone are going to give us a real good game.
You've just been out looking at the pitch. It's slightly better than the one you had in Gothenburg.
Slightly better, yeah.
And Campbell, I know 28 years since St Mirren won the Cup. You're all desperate to do it today, and there's a fantastic support from the town.
Just looking around the ground here, it's incredible the amount of people that have come up from Paisley, wanting us to win, obviously. But I'm just looking around, there's a fair Dundee United support as well. So hopefully we'll get over the 40,000 everybody keeps predicting.
Well, one of you is going to come away with the Scottish Cup medal. Thank you guys, both enjoy the game. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Good buddies and both good goalkeepers. Time for us to take a short break here in the Scott Sport Cup final studio. Alec Miller and Andy Gray are going to have a breather here with me. And when you rejoin us in a couple of minutes from now, we'll be going back to Hampden Park.
I thought I knew how good Everest double glazing was, but I didn't. I didn't know about this amazing Solar Plus glass. It actually reflects heat back inside your room, and it's fitted as standard. I didn't know that Everest doors lock in 3 different places. How's that for security? And these patio doors. Everest fit them with toughened safety glass as standard. I didn't know that either. But I do now. If you want to know more, ring now for a free quotation. You only fit double glazing once, so fit the best. Everest.
Что это? Tell me, how is Mrs. Polyakov?
Have a break. Have a Kit Kat.
Last year, NatWest helped hundreds of Scottish businesses. But as your business grows, you may find yourself needing more equipment, or bigger premises, or even advice on export finance, so you might just be glad of our help again. This year, NatWest managers will be visiting our business customers with the help and advice a developing business needs. We won't just help get your business off the ground. We'll help you keep it there. Whatever you want from NatWest, press for action.
KP honey roasted.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Now, honey roasted peanuts from KP. They're strangely savory.
Seek out the draft lager of Lamont.
It's jackpot! Strike it rich and get your share of an incredible £150,000 payout in the latest big money game from the Daily Record and Sunday Mail. There's £5,000 to be won in every game. Just scratch off to reveal a winning combination. It's fun, it's exciting, it's jackpot, and it's only in your Daily Record and Sunday Mail.
Again, and welcome back to Cup Final Scott Sport. Well, this morning's Cup Final odds certainly made Dundee United clear favourites at 6-5 on, with St Mirren handily placed for some backers at 3-1 to win over the 90 minutes. But the odds don't seem to have caused too much concern in the town of Paisley. As the days towards the final ticked away, there has been no shortage of either atmosphere or optimism, as Sally McNair found out with her film crew.
The people of Paisley began their countdown to the cup final the second the referee blew the whistle after the semi-final victory against Hearts. It's 25 years since the club have been involved in a Scottish Cup final, 28 years since they brought the trophy home. And at the supporters' shop, staff have been reordering scarves, sweatshirts and teddy bears by the boxload.
Well, I think they'll do it. I think they'll do it. They're up against a good team, but I still think they'll do it.
3-1. 3-1 in St Mirren.
Do you remember the last time they won the cup?
Yes, I did. In fact, I had the tumbler with all their names in it. I gave it to my grandson there on Sunday.
There's an awful lot of social pressure on them in this town to win again.
Oh, they'll win all right. Oh, St Mirren will win.
Tell us what you remember about 59.
I remember
then.
the scenes back here. It's all changed, of course, but I remember the scenes. It was raining, and the place was thronged with crowds, and it went on for hours after it. The place just basically came to a standstill.
Into all the cup run, Kirkcaldy and at Morton, and most of the home games this season.
And who are the key men to watch for?
Ferguson. Ferguson plays well. He can link up with Abercrombie and Fitzpatrick. He can control the midfield and we'll win 2-0.
While the excitement builds up in the town, the players have been taking it calmly, watched by Elderslie exile Ron Levy, who's travelled 12,000 miles from his home in Australia to be at the game.
Been a loyal St Mirren supporter all my life, and it's the first time they've been in the Scottish Cup final since 1961, I believe. The last one I saw was in '59 at Hampden when they beat Aberdeen 3-1 with my father. And I always promised myself that if they made another Scottish Cup final, I'd be hoping to see them win it. So here I am.
Ian Ferguson, the man that Kenny Dalglish wanted, but you opted for St Mirren instead of Liverpool this season.
Yeah, well, I really made my decision when Alec Miller had come over to Firhill. He offered me first team football, Kenny Dalglish offered me reserve football, and I'd made my mind up.
And playing in the cup final then, it's a decision that you're not going to regret?
Oh, I never regretted it the day I made the decision, so I'm looking forward to the final. It's the biggest thing in my career so far.
Personally, I like to go out for a good warm-up before the game, just to get myself ready. I'm sure the boys will be keyed up for the day, and we'll just be concentrating as much as possible on how we can beat Dundee United.
I'll be all tensed up because I've never played at Hampden before, so just hope it'll be a good day and hope the result goes the right way.
Well, just 2 years ago, you were a part-timer for Meadowbank Thistle.
That's right. I was out in all weathers, out painting and decorating, so it's a different lifestyle for me, and I'm enjoying it tremendously.
This is the big time.
Oh, this is a big time. It's the biggest game of my life, so I just hope the boys can bring the cup back to Paisley.
Tony Fitzpatrick, you were here in the days of Alex Ferguson.
Yeah, that's right. Good memories of that. We won the first division under Mr Ferguson, and it's been a long time since any success in Paisley, so we're hoping this year is our year.
So we just try and concentrate on the game and not the occasion, and just figure out what we're going to do in the game and carry on from there.
No last-minute team talks?
Well, the manager will probably tell us about 5 to 3 what to do. He's seen Dundee United quite often, so he'll know what is required of us.
It's only 5 months since the new management team, alias Smith and Bone, came to the club, but team and town are united. It's changed days for St Mirren and just the start of something big.
Sally McNair among the buddies in Paisley. Well, it's time now, as I said, to go back to Hampden Park, and just at the edge of the tunnel, Jim McLean and Alex Smith are talking to our pre-match reporter, Ian Archer.
McLean, the weather's changed for the worst, unfortunately.
No, I don't think so, other than for our supporters. I think that this will help the game. I think players like the grass that wee bit wet and damp, and I think the conditions are magnificent.
Actually, with senior players, they don't seem to be at all nervous in the first cup final for all of them almost.
Well, at the moment they appear to be pretty settled, but we'll just have to wait and see how they settle into the game, yes.
Jim, the bookies make you overwhelming favourites. You feel that way?
No, no way. There are two teams on the park there, and either team can win it. And I think the good thing about it is that both teams believe that they're good enough to win it. And I think it should be a cracking game. I hope so. But as long as we win it.
As long as Dundee United win it, Jim McLean says. You've got other ideas, though.
Well, my ideas is the exact opposite of Jim's, but the same principles. That I hope it's a very good game, and I hope the two teams play to their potential, and that the people get their value for money. And at the end of the day, the best team wins.
You've been friends for a long time, the pair of you. You're going to be friends in a couple of hours' time?
Of course. Win or lose, yes, no problem.
Jim, is the cup going to Dundee United for the first time ever?
No, let's not make any predictions. We'll see it 20-5. As far as I'm concerned, if we can't have it, I'll be pleased for Alex Smith, obviously.
Good, let's just hope it's the Friendship Cup final all round. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
And a nice touch there, as they walked up the tunnel just after we came off that interview, they stopped and they both shook hands and a pat on the shoulder, nice way, to set up a cup final. And talking of that, let's go over now live again to Hampden Park, and I think Jock Brown and Billy McNeil are in position to look at the teams. Good afternoon to you both.
Good afternoon, Arthur. Yes, Billy and I are here in position, and we've just been handed the teams for the match, and they both contain a shock. The St Mirren line-up in the first instance, has gone up. That's got no Paul Hegarty. Now that's the big shock. Paul Hegarty is wearing a number 12 jersey. He'll be on the bench. So there's a place there at the St Mirren lineup, I beg your pardon, the United first. The St Mirren lineup has no Tony Fitzpatrick. The captain, the club captain, has been left out. He's not playing in his usual midfield berth, and apparently there is no question of his fitness because he's been listed as substitute. He's on the bench with Ian Cameron. So that's a very interesting lineup with young Paul Lambert at 17 getting a place wearing the number 11 jersey. And Dundee United, as I say, have lost the Paul Hegarty from their starting lineup. Now, there may be some question mark about his fitness. He hasn't played since the European match against Gothenburg when he came off early in the second half, so he may not be 100% fit. He's on the bench wearing a number 12, and that apart, the United team looks to be at full strength. No place, though, either for Billy Kirkwood, who's been a great servant for United over the years, but John Clark is wearing number 5, and that certainly will not weaken the United side significantly. Billy, two very interesting team lineups. What's your reaction?
Well, I think, Jock, this is perhaps the most open final we've seen in many, many years. Most people are predicting that United, with the great experience and the great performances in Europe this year, will win handsomely. I don't know, I'm not too sure about that. I think St Mirren spoke to some of their lads down there earlier on, and they seem so relaxed that I think they might just get something from the game. Interesting to see what a young side that Alex Smith has chosen for this match. He may well just be gambling on the fact that kids don't have nerves and just go out there and play in any case.
Very interesting, I think. Alec Miller's back in the studio. Alec should know, I think, about people like Brian Hamilton and Paul Lambert, how they may cope with a big occasion. What do you think, Alec?
I think they'll cope okay, Jock. The boy Lambert will have no nerves whatsoever. He's a very good player and he'll work hard and be able to handle the situation. Young Brian will maybe take the first 15 minutes, 20 minutes to settle in. He's a wee bit more the nervous type. But no doubt their ability, that's why they're in the team, whether they're young or not. They'll definitely play, I'm sure of that.
So that's certainly an interesting view from inside the Love Street camp. Dundee United without Paul Hegarty and Andy Gray. I think there must have been great regrets in the mind of Jim McLean when he made the decision to leave Paul out. I think it'd be very sad if United were to win the cup without Paul Hegarty involved.
Yes, but I think in a situation like this, Jock, I think Jim McLean has wanted this cup for so long that he wouldn't risk a decision on sentimental grounds. I can assure you, I know the man that well, that sentiment wouldn't come into it when he's named aside. I'm sure there must be a doubt over Paul's fitness. I think that's clear because, as you say, if they were going to win the cup today, then obviously Jim McLean would love to have Paul Hegarty on his side. But as we said, sentiment doesn't come into it with Jim McLean. He wants to win the Scottish Cup. But the boy Clark won't let him down at all. He's looked a tremendous player when he's come in for Paul this season. And that is almost like a full-strength side that Dundee United are fielding there today. There's no doubt about that.
Jock, I was just going to say that John Clark, whom we've both seen in Europe this year for Dundee United, may well prove to be a key figure because the one thing that he has proved that he can do very, very well is come up for dead ball situations, and some of the shots that he's fired in and some of the goals that he has scored have really been most impressive indeed. And this is maybe something that Alex Smith has not perhaps worked on too much. I'm thinking that maybe he's worked on Paul Hegarty's aerial skill coming through for free kicks as we saw in the semi against Dundee, but I wonder if he's done some homework on Clark as well. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm sure they've done all the homework in the world. I've no doubt Alex Smith and Jimmy Bowen will be very thorough indeed, although I'm sure they would have expected Paul Hegarty to start the match. The tactical situation, I think, will be fascinating this afternoon because both sides really could ring some changes. St Mirren won the semi-final with a 4-3-3 formation, but that lineup allows them to switch to 4-4-2 if they like, and United too have a lot of variations. Billy, what do you think might happen at the start, tactically?
Well, I think you're right, Jock. Looking at both lineups, they can vary them quite considerably. I was speaking to Frank McGarvey before we came up here, and Frank was just saying that he's got a sort of free roll, that he more or less decides where he wants to play. And I think at the end of the day, Frank wants to find that little bit of space. He said he finds it easier coming from behind, and I think we might see him in that sort of more withdrawn role today. Looking at United, there's so many variables there. Paul Sturrock can play wide or he could play through the middle, and they've got a whole lot of varieties there. The thing that obviously sways everyone in favour of United is the fact that they've got this tremendous experience of European football. They play a patient style, they won't be bothered with nerves, they'll be prepared to come here, feel the pace of the game, and take their time about doing something about winning.
Right, Billy, just before we hand over to you and Jocka, and before the teams come out and the due out any minute, I'm going to ask our two studio guests here, Alec Miller and Andy Gray, for a very quick forecast. Starting with you, Alec, how do you think it's going to go?
I think it'll be a very tight game, Arthur. It might even go to extra time, but I fancy St Mirren.
Andy?
Well, obviously I'm going to go opposite. I think it'll be closer than many people are predicting, Arthur, and I'm going to punt for just Dundee United to share it.
Right, let's see it all works out now. It's back to you as the teams come out, and have a good game, Jock Brown and Billy McNeil.
Thanks, Arthur. Yes, the moment the crowd has been waiting for. A very substantial crowd, I'm happy to say, inside Hampden Park this afternoon, and the majority of the fans undoubtedly coming from Paisley. 40,000, I would estimate, would be the crowd for the final, which is very encouraging with non-Old Firm involvement. And there's the United manager, Jim McLean, who's been through this in the past, of course, 3 times in the past 13 years without taking home the Scottish Cup. So it's a very tense afternoon, I'm sure, for Jim McLean. Alex Smith, of course, very happy occasion. He started the season as manager of 2nd Division Stirling Albion, and then replaced our own studio guest, Alec Miller, at Love Street some 5 months ago. So there is the very impressive setting which Hampden always provides, the Royal Scottish Pipe Band Association providing the music, as the teams line up to wait to be introduced to the dignitaries. And we have the anthem being played now. There is the referee this afternoon, Mr. Kenny Hope from Clarkston. 45-year-old company director, his first Scottish Cup final, and a very highly rated official indeed. He's been top of the gradings in Scotland for the last 2 seasons. On his right, on our left, is Bill Crichton from Bankery, and on the other side of Kenny Hope is David Brownlee, the linesman from Edinburgh. Well, it certainly is a gala occasion. There are the United fans behind the pipe bands. The sun has come out again. We had a little bit of cloud and rain for a moment or two, and that has certainly softened up the surface a little more. Certainly welcomed by the players. And now the moment, I think, Billy, you may agree, the players like least before the match, being introduced to the dignitaries. Lord Glenarthur there being introduced to the United players by David Neary.
I don't think there's any doubt about that, Jock. Players at this particular stage, they want to go on with the game now. They've been out, they've tested the surface, they've tested the atmosphere. They don't like standing about waiting for people to shake their hands, but it's part and parcel of the cup final. And one thing that has impressed me, Dundee United, with their usual thoroughness, have prepared properly, and they've kept people waiting, they've kept people a little bit in suspense with the lineup. And looking at it, I think it gives indication of their strength with Paul Hegarty and Kevin Gallagher on the bench. St Mirren, on the other hand, seem very, very relaxed. And having spoken to Alec, this was his intention, was to get his players in a very relaxed frame of mind, and I think he succeeded. I just hope it works for him.
So the officials now being introduced to Lord Glenarthur, and they too, I'm sure, will be anxious to get on with the game. Ernie Walker there with Lord Glenarthur. David Will, the SFA president, is also there, and taking a little bit of time with the officials, the dignitaries, and the St Mirren camp now being approached. The captain, of course, in the absence of Tony Fitzpatrick, is Billy Abercrombie, who certainly has had a season to remember following his difficulties against Motherwell way back in October. So Billy Abercrombie now introducing his players to Lord Glenarthur, and Frank McGarvey there, who scored the winner 2 years ago for Celtic against Dundee United. So going through the St Mirren players, a moment, of course, they will always remember. Scottish Cup final day at Hampden. This little Tom Wilson, the fullback. Kenny McDowell, who's having something of a fairy tale end to the season. Ian Ferguson, key man on the right side of midfield or up front. And there's the manager, Alex Smith, wearing his St Mirren colours. The St Mirren squad all very smartly turned out in blazers and flannels, specially prepared for the occasion. So there are the St Mirren fans. It's 28 years since they've had a cup final to celebrate. The United fans have been here 2 years ago. They were here in 1981, they were here in 1974, but they're still looking for their very first Scottish Cup victory. So the pictures are, of course, still very impressive indeed, although the moments are very tense for the players. They're now beginning to break. There's Jim McLean. He's been through this before, all right. Makes for the tunnel, so does Alex Smith. And the players now move off to finalise their preparations and their warm-up. Just a few minutes to kick off, of course. The United supporters welcoming their players to that end of the field. The east terracing occupied by United fans, and the St Mirren fans in the black, white and red on the west terracing, and that's where their players have gone also. So the white bands depart as the players get some final instructions, and the kick-off just now 3 minutes away. United fans getting ready. They're of course facing another big night on Wednesday in Europe, Tannadice, but the St Mirren players getting some final instructions from their coach, Jimmy Bond. Now, I spoke to Jimmy before the game and said anticipated his players would enjoy the occasion. He said they will only enjoy it if they win, so you can take it they'll be off to a very fast start indeed. So the St Mirren team, a reminder there. The surprise is no Tony Fitzpatrick, but that apart, not too many surprises. Paul Chalmers couldn't find a place in the lineup, such as the quality of the squad that Alex Smith has at his disposal. So the front men will be Kenny McDowell, Ian Ferguson and Frank McGarvey at some stage in the match, although there will be some tactical manoeuvring, I'm quite certain, early on. David Winnie joined by Neil Cooper in the central defence, with Tommy Wilson and Derek Hamilton at fullback. And the United lineup, a reminder once again, there's the surprise. Number 5, John Clark, with Paul Hegarty on the bench. No place either for Billy Kirkwood. And once again, we'll have to wait for the opening minutes to see exactly the formation Jim McLean opts for at the start of the match. So there's Jim McInally and Ian Redford, who will certainly be key men. Members now of the international squad, of course. Jim McInally having a dream first season at Tannadice. He's become an international player, and a man you know well, of course, Billy, from his Celtic days.
Yes, always a very exciting prospect, and indeed has blossomed into a very exciting player. Changed his position slightly, Jock, but nevertheless, speaking to him before the game, he said that the season's been one of magical sequence for him, that they've gone from strength to strength, and he said they feel as though they're getting stronger just at the right time.
And Derek Hamilton signed for St Mirren from Aberdeen in November 1983 for just £7,000, and he's proved to be a very important, experienced man in the back four for St Mirren. So we're all set for the start. Referee Kenny Hope checking his notebook, checking the time, making sure that everything is in order. The field is clear for play, and it will be St Mirren to start the match. Conditions absolutely ideal at the foot. No real problems overhead. A swirling wind a little again, as usual at Hampden. But St Mirren in the basically all white strip with the black trim, all set to start when referee Hope is satisfied. So Kenny McDowell sends it back, and the cup final, the 102nd Scottish Cup final, is underway. There's Tom Wilson, and Ian Ferguson starting the match right through the middle at centre forward. John Clark easing him off the ball to get an early touch for Billy Thompson, the United keeper. Paul Sturrock got a touch. There's Ian Ferguson. It's cleared by Lambert. This is Ferguson again for St Mirren. Headed away by Malpass, starting the match at right back despite wearing number 3. There's John Holt at left back, wearing 2. Tom Wilson heading the ball away. And it's very interesting, Billy, that Paul Sturrock has joined Ian Ferguson through the middle of the United attack.
Well, I think that's what the intent is, to put pressure on those back two immediately. Paul Sturrock's got terrific control on the ball, and really, if there's anyone's going to turn this game, it could just be him, Joe. But they've got good goal potential up there in front with Ian Ferguson and him playing together.
So the tense early stages, I know that St Mirren will be very anxious to make an early impact on the play. They cannot afford to be dominated by this Tannadice machine. The tackle from John Clark. McInally plays it wide for Malpass. It was cut off by Abercrombie at the expense of a throw on the far side to United. Dave Bowman operating on the right side of the four-man United midfield. Here's Sturrock. And that came off Paul Sturrock. It's behind for a St Mirren goal kick. Well, Paul Sturrock has been very effective on the left flank in one or two European matches for Dundee United, but preferred through the middle this afternoon. the two top-class goalkeepers on show, Campbell Money. Header was by Redford. There's Abercrombie, Malpass. And some very early news from Wembley. Tottenham Hotspur have gone 1 goal ahead, and that's just in the opening 2 minutes of the match. A savage blow there for Coventry City. So it's Malpass with the throw for Dundee United. Here's Paul Sturrock, now Malpass. Trying to get away from Frank McGarvey. The throw goes to Sitman, right in front of the linesman's eyes. Malpass goes back, and it'll be no surprise to learn the scorer from Wembley was Clive Allen. It's Clive Allen giving Tottenham an early lead. So back now with John Clark. That's for Sturrock to chase. The ball skidding off the damp surface away from Paul Sturrock. Through once again for a goal kick to Sitman, but Campbell Money wants to have some point made with his defenders. A little bit of delay with the goal kick. Tense early start for the both teams, I think, Billy.
Well, that's right, Jock, but looking at it, Dundee United have immediately settled into that 4-4-2 pattern that they've used so effectively throughout Europe. And already you can see signs of them start to get a little bit of domination in the match. But obviously early match nerves are taking part just now.
There's Redford's header. Sturrock. Ian Ferguson. Cooper's header. Brian Hamilton couldn't control it. McInally does well to find Bannon. Redford back to Holt. Bannon inside, but Abercrombie was there ahead of Jim McInally, but signs there that United were settling with some good passes in the middle of the field. So John Holt with the throw. Here's Eamon Bannon. Holt once again, Redford making a run through the inside left channel. Sturrock on the left flank. There's Redford. Bannon back towards Sturrock, who was onside, but caught on his heels rather. A rueful look from Paul Sturrock to Eamon Bannon as St Mirren get the goal kick. Darrell's header. Good control from McGarvey, a very quick tackle though by Bannon, and the referee has penalised Eamon Bannon. Whistle going instantly as Bannon slid into that challenge, perhaps showing his studs. Fraction too high at Frank McGarvey. Free kick taken short, there's McGarvey. There is clearance. Tackle was by Redford. Good challenge by Cooper, and judged to be a foul by the referee, a push into the back of Sturrock. Free kick wasted by Bannon, taken too quickly and picked up by Lambert. Oh, showing a lot of confidence, the youngster. There's Bowman. Well, Billy Thompson takes over at the back for Dundee United. Wilson, there's Neary, now Bannon, running out of space. He was put under pressure by both Brian Hamilton and Tom Wilson. Good challenge again by Redford, giving Hamilton no time at all on the ball. So United throw now, they have a number of ploys from this situation, so close to the corner flag. Sturrock will be involved. Bannon lining it up. Playing it this time towards John Clark. Good play from McInally. Bannon playing it in, it came off Ian Ferguson. Now McGarvey on the break. Has McDowell ahead. Still Frank McGarvey. Tom Wilson's pushed forward on the right for St Mirren. Cross to the far side, and Bowman beats Lambert. There's Brian Hamilton. Good leap by John Clark. There's Bowman. Well, that's good play from Bowman. United playing football in a defence. Well, United certainly coped well with that attack from St Mirren, Billy.
Well, I think we saw just a little feature of the quality of the side there, Jock, because they lost it in midfield, but they quickly got themselves back to rearrange themselves and put a barrier across St Mirren's path. And when the situation did come for a little bit of a cool head, we saw it there.
Bannon's header, David Woody meets it. Garvey takes it from Ferguson. It's for Lambert to chase. Very difficult pass to send across there accurately, and it's a throw to United, which results in the ball going back quickly to Billy Thompson. Misjudged by Bannon. There's Neil Cooper. Neil Cooper seems to have the principal task of looking after Paul Sturrock at this stage in the match. Former Aberdeen and Grimsby Town player. There they are again together, Sturrock with Cooper. Cooper doing well, staying calm and staying on his feet, which is very important against Paul Sturrock. Another throw to United. Bannon has found space. Here's Sturrock. Too high for Bowman. Bowman, Ferguson and Redford were all waiting in the middle for the cross. Derek Hamilton with the throw for St Mirren. Marking is very tight indeed among the United players. Header from McDowell. There's Lambert. With the break of the ball from Bannon. Wilson supports. He has Brian Hamilton ahead on the right. Hamilton out checking out. There's a header from McInally. And Bannon's tackle once again. And more goals news from Wembley. It's an equaliser for Coventry City. One each now at Wembley. Still no goals at Hampden, but Kenny McDowell trying to retrieve that ball, spinning away from him for the goal kick. And the goal scorer for Coventry City was the coloured number 7, Dave Bennett. So Bennett equalises the goal from Clive Allen. Difficult one for Bowman. Still no sign, Billy, that St Mirren have settled into any passing pattern from midfield.
No, I think they've decided that they've got to battle a bit there, Jock, and hope that they can catch Dundee United on the break, really. They've left 3 up with Frank McGarvey obviously been given that role where he goes where he more or less wants. But at the moment, Dundee United are starting to get a little bit of supremacy in midfield, and they're starting to look the more composed and a much more effective team.
So 10 minutes of the first half gone, still no scoring. As Campbell Money sends the long ball forward. There's John Clark. An accurate header finds Bannon. Ferguson inside, a good dummy, and Ian Redford was eased off the ball by Billy Abercrombie. A free kick to United. And this is good play from United. Good pass inside from Bannon. The dummy from Ian Ferguson, and Redford had to be nudged off the ball by Abercrombie. There's the free kick taken by Holt. There's John Clark. And no one at this post on the near side. And Ian Ferguson screaming at Redford and Bannon for not being in that gap when the header came across from Clark. Well, John Clark showing his menace on these set pieces. The fine lead. There's Hamilton. Captain Billy Abercrombie. It's well won by Holt, going up between McGarvey and McDowell. So there's Tom Wilson now with the throw. There's McDowell, tackled by Holt, and the challenge to the back is penalised by the referee. A free kick to St Mirren, and a chance now for Dave Winnie and Neil Cooper, the central defenders, to move into the box. There's Cooper. Abercrombie is 4, Ferguson is 8. There's Dave Winnie. Billy Thompson crouched on his line. Ferguson playing it in, a difficult one for the keeper. And Thompson made it at the second attempt. But that was a very dangerous free kick played in by Ferguson. Now this is one which has a goalkeeper guessing. Should he stay or should he come? Thompson decided to come into that ruck of players. The ball bubbled free, but a very good recovery by Thompson.
In actual fact, Jockey came very confidently for that, but Kenny McDowell just had a little use of the hand just to put him off.
The free kick will have to be taken again. Neary wanted to take it quickly, but Ian Ferguson was in the way. Ian Ferguson hasn't been involved too much yet in the match. There's David Neary with the free kick. It's well won by Winnie. And McDowell pushing Malpass as they both went for the ball. So another free kick this time to United. And putting everyone back except Frank McGarvey into defence. There's John Clark joining the attack. McInally playing it in. Cooper's header. Good header again by McInally. Malpass. Challenged by Lambert. Inviting McGarvey to make that run, and that's a superb tackle by David Neary. Excellent defensive play by Neary. And allowing his colleagues to regroup in defence. They were exposed just a little as Malpass lost possession in midfield. There's Neary again. Redford to Sturrock. Return pass. Redford playing it wide, there's Bannon. Now Redford, and Sturrock is offside. Well, that was a very close decision indeed. Oh, Sturrock has a shake of the head, and it really looked very close, that one, Billy.
Yes, I'll be honest, Jock, I thought that was just marginally onside, to be quite frank with you. But I think it just gives as an indication of the potency of Dundee United. They're just making their passes just now and hoping that the breakthrough will come.
So in midfield once again with Redford. Now Bannon, he has Sturrock on the left touchline at the moment. That was for Redford to chase. Pass was misjudged by Bannon. Redford supporting that attack after starting it off in midfield. Money with a long ball downfield. Clark going over the shoulders of Kenny McDowell. 15 minutes now into the first half, still no scoring, and a free kick to St Mirren midway inside the United half. Well, Billy Thompson organising his defence. Once again, Ian Ferguson is with Billy Abercrombie over the set piece. Paul Lambert takes it square to the right. It's towards the big men at the far corner of the box, but David Neary beats both Winnie and Cooper, and this is McInally. United sending players forward now. That's a great pass, picking out Dave Bowman. Well, St Mirren was undoubtedly exposed had Bowman been able to control that. Jim McInally showing his effectiveness once again in midfield. Dowell, there's Wilson. John Clark's header. Both the United fullbacks peel off to the flanks, looking for a throw out from Billy Thompson, but he elects to go through the middle via Clark. So both Sturrock and Hamilton misjudged the high ball. Sturrock thought he was pushed. The referee disagrees. McGarvey's header. There's Brian Hamilton. A good tackle by Holt. He knew Redford was there. A layoff from Sturrock. Superb play from United. Ferguson to Bowman. Men in Tangerine now supporting very quickly indeed. There's Sturrock with a dummy, and that was well read by Cooper.
And already a great deal to Neil Cooper in defence, and here's a chance in the break. McGarvey finding McDowell. Ferguson waits in the middle. McGarvey supporting. There's McGarvey. And a fine save from Thompson. A superb play from St Mirren. It was McGarvey who released McDowell on the right. Flocking cross from McGarvey, who sprinted to the far side of the box, turning the shot at the near post, and down goes Thompson. So a fine attack indeed by St Mirren, showing they certainly cannot be counted out, despite United's early domination. A little indication of Frank McGarvey's ability to find a bit of space, Jock. Picked up the ball, made a good pass, got himself in a position where he might receive the ball again and almost produced the first goal. Well, here's Derek Hamilton charging forward for St Mirren. There's Lambert. Not quite where he intended, but this is Brian Hamilton. Back again with Lambert. That's good play from the youngster. And United are on the rack for the moment. McGarvey playing it against Malpass. Still the pressure is on for the United defence. McGarvey once again. Lambert wants it inside. There's Lambert. That came off John Clark, so it will be a corner kick. So some tremendous pressure with Paul Lambert right at the heart of it for St Mirren. A short corner taken by Brian Hamilton. Takes it back from Abercrombie. There's Redford with the clearance. The only man up is Sturrock. He'll have to hold play up, waiting for support. He gets it from Holt. In a bit of a hurry with the pass, looking for Sturrock to have made a lot of ground on the left. Well, that certainly will give St Mirren great encouragement. They've been chasing shadows a little in the opening 15 minutes, but came forward with real menace for a concerted spell of attack. Here's McDowell. Neat sidestep away from Clark. And now Derek Hamilton. McDowell trying to control it. In comes Clark. McInally takes over. Malpass. Sturrock was well offside on that occasion. No question about it. Well, there is the bench. Thumbs up from Jimmy Bone. Alex Smith is in the director's box. There's the United bench. Gordon Wallace is there, gesticulating on his feet now. McGarvey's header. Here's Ian Ferguson. McGarvey again. This is Tom Wilson. Headed away by Clark. Ian Ferguson accepts the throw for St Mirren. Careless one back from Ian Ferguson, allowing Bannon to make the challenge on Wilson. Wilson's taking a knock. Getting back to his feet. There's Tom Wilson. He took a slow one there from Bannon. They tried to retrieve that short pass from Ian Ferguson. There's Neil Cooper. Up goes Redford. Winnie nodding it into space in the far side. Now Bowman can cause some damage on that flank for United. It's towards Sturrock with Wilson and Cooper keeping him out. This is Brian Hamilton. And the driven pass from Holt. Really should have had a better response from him and Bannon, the most expensive player in the United ranks. I think Dundee United are starting to get a little bit frustrated with themselves, Jock, because their passing has gone astray just a bit. And while they had that early domination, they haven't been able to produce an awful lot of chances. And all of a sudden, St Mirren, those young players are starting to believe in themselves just a little bit. They've seen McGarvey having a shot at goal. They've seen a young lad Lambert having a shot. They're starting to grow in confidence now. So it's a St Mirren throw. There's Paul Lambert. He's got a fine start to the match. The 17-year-old for St Mirren in midfield.
United throw. Paul Sturrock was leaning into Neil Cooper as the throw came forward, and St Mirren have a free kick. So there's Tom Wilson. Holt going up with McGarvey. This is Bannon. Now Redford. Sturrock. Good supporting play again from Holt, but tackled by Ferguson. Handball by Bannon. Bit of frustration there for Eamon Bannon. That's Steve Murray, the United coach, with a walkie-talkie to Jim McLean in the director's box. Tom Wilson with the free kick. McGarvey got a touch. This Ferguson neatly beaten by Malpass. Malpass again. Here's Ian Ferguson. Handball against Ferguson. Ferguson hoping to give up his Hampden record, and he's in trouble for a bit of dissent. Well, referee Kenny Hope certainly does not have a reputation for being yellow card happy. He likes to control things with a quiet word where possible. So Ian Ferguson just snapping back verbally to the referee. 2 performances at Hampden, he scored each time. Wants to win the League Cup for Rangers against Dundee United. Dave Winnie goes forward for St Mirren. There's Abercrombie with a free kick. McDowell reached it all right, but couldn't direct it anywhere to cause trouble for the United defence. There's number 9, Kenny McDowell. He gets up well here. Redford doesn't get off his feet, but there's no danger from the head flick on. Wilson through the middle, but it's bouncing through to Billy Thompson. Malpass calling for the ball on the far side. So there's the scoreline, no scoring. Some very competitive play, of course, and St Mirren undoubtedly recovering from a shaky start, and Billy Thompson doing well for United. He looks very composed and confident in the United goal. Ian Ferguson couldn't reach it. His other goal was for United against Rangers in the Skoll Cup, but it was to no avail as United were knocked out. There's Tom Wilson. Came off the shoulder of McDowell. Cooper wasn't happy with the late challenge from Redford there, but there's no damage done, and United have possession once again with Malpass. Bowman provides the width on the right side of the United midfield. Here's McInally. Ferguson trying the return pass, forced to retrieve it in midfield. That's towards Sturrock. Yes, a little bit of the rhythm going out of United in midfield.
They start just a second or two ago, Joe, to look as though they were going to get something back there. Then a pass went astray. At the moment, they're just prepared to just sit there comfortably playing away and thinking their time will come. The St Mirren at the moment have grown in confidence. They're going into the tackles that little bit sharper than they were in the early start of the game. And at the moment, they look as though they're creating all sorts of upsets for United.
There's Derek Hamilton, now McGarvey. Ian Ferguson. Brian Hamilton. In midfield, Abercrombie. Derek Hamilton pushing forward from full-back. Some good running again from young Paul Lambert, making himself available for the short pass in midfield. There's Malpass. Abercrombie using Tom Wilson. Very few gaps. The United rear. And the hopeful pass forward goes behind for the goal kick.
Frank McGarvey, Jock, is causing 1 or 2 problems for United at the back because he's wandering, he's putting himself in between positions. And they're not really sure who's got the responsibility to go out and pick him up. And when St Mirren get the ball, Frank's always available, and he's causing just enough problem to suggest that he might be a thorn in the flesh. Good header by Redford. Now Sturrock turning away from Wilson. Gets it back from Wilson again. There's a good pass inside to Bannon for the long range shot. An awkward one for Money. He took it well. And this pass threaded through from Paul Sturrock, finding Bannon. He was very keen to have the shot at goal. It bounced just before Campbell Money, and that was good goalkeeping. McInally tackling hard in midfield with Abercrombie. Break of the ball falls for McGarvey. This is Ian Ferguson touching it on towards McDowell. Holt was there for United. Bannon hoping to escort that away for a goal, for a throw in rather, but hustled by McDowell. A free kick's been given to United. McDowell penalised for a push on Bannon. But there will be a hold-up now because Jim McInally has taken a knock in that clash with Billy Abercrombie a moment ago in midfield. Well, there's no way that United will want to lose the forceful play of McInally in midfield. Looks as though it'll knock around the right shin area. There's Steve Murray again with that walkie-talkie. He's beside Gordon Wallace, the United assistant manager. So anxious moments these for Dundee United. Paul Hegarty is off the bench. And it's still a little bit tense for United. Jim Joyce, the physio, is out there treating McInally. So he's back on his feet. And McInally appears to be all right. Lidley scored from Wembley. Coventry 1, Tottenham 1. Clive Allen with the opener. Dave Bennett with the equaliser. And you'll see these goals in our highlights during interval here at Hampden. So McInally has recovered and United have the free kick, which will be taken by John Holt. There's Winnie. And now Hamilton. Lambert calling for the ball on the left. Hamilton going forward, running into Malpass. That was a foul against Hamilton. He held Malpass. He realised he was losing possession to the international fullback. A little bit of a hold on the jersey was enough to give the free kick to United and to John Clark. Up goes Bannon. Redford going wide on the left with Hamilton. Still Redford with possession for United. And that's an excellent clearance from Derek Hamilton. Superb defending. And Ian Ferguson picks it up for St Mirren. Long ball forward for McGarvey to chase. And the ball is bouncing away from McGarvey. But some fine play there from Ian Redford on the United left, almost creating the chance for the opening goal. Redford using his strength as well as his skill. And then this cross is met by Derek Hamilton, a superb defensive piece of play. Marvellous piece of work there, Jock. It was the first real chance that we've seen from United, the best chance of the game so far.
Well, half an hour gone, still no scoring. Things undoubtedly heating up here at Hampden. As Paul Sturrock picks it up on the United left. Good play from Sturrock, running into Brian Hamilton. Doing a little too much on the ball, perhaps. Paul Sturrock, here's McGarvey. Plenty of support coming now. Here's McDowell. And it's played through the legs of John Clark, but the goal kick is given to United. McDowell looking hopefully for a corner. Cooper, now Holt. Sturrock with a layoff. Now Redford. Here's Bowman on the right. Challenged again by Derek Hamilton. This is Malpass. Still Bowman available on the right. Well, Well, among Bowman's qualities is not the kind of blistering pace he would require to reach that pass. Here's Redford. A late challenge by Abercrombie, picked up by referee Hope. So free kick to United. Jim Joyce, the physio, is on the track, looking anxiously at Morris Malpass this time, I think. As Clark plays the free kick forward. This is McInally. Sturrock. McInally continued the run. A good play from United. Redford trying to reach it, but Lambert was there to cover. And Redford has been penalised for a bit of elbowing. What a fine move this from Dundee United. McInally starting it off, sprinting forward into the box. A fine left-footed out-swinging cross. Redford having to do some pushing to try to reach it. And that's why the free kick was given to St Mirren.
United have started to get a hold in the game again, Jock, and over the last 5 minutes or so they've started to look threatening. You just wonder if St Mirren have perhaps missed a chance when they had that little bit of the upper hand.
And John Clark is penalised. Well, a difficult situation, I think, with the centre forward making the back for the defender. John Clark looked clumsy with that challenge, but Willie McNeil, of course, has been in that situation many times in his career.
I think it's always a foul against the centre forward, that Jock. They got away with murder, they did.
Billy Abercrombie's free kick. The head flick from McGarvey, and there's Bannon's clearance straight back to Abercrombie. Now Lambert. Neil Cooper's up with the attack, measuring the pass for Ferguson, but he hasn't quite enough pace for that. So a goal kick to United. It's interesting that that St Mirren, even under pressure, have tried to keep these three men in attack: McDowell, McGarvey and Ferguson, depending on the fullbacks, to support the midfield trio.
Yeah, I think they're hoping that they can keep Dundee United that bit unsettled at the back and perhaps disturb their rhythm, Jock. And for a long spell they were succeeding. When Frank McGarvey gets a little bit of room, then he's got the experience and the ability to utilise it.
So it's Derek Hamilton penalised this time for challenging for a high ball. And John Clark again will take this free kick. Now just watch the ease with which he pumps this ball into the box. Very powerful. As towards Bannon, it was won by Cooper. Up goes Ian Ferguson. Neil Cooper again with a good challenge in Sturrock. McDowell trying to find Ian Ferguson through the inside right channel, but without success, and a bit of carelessness there between Thompson and Holt gives possession back to St Mirren. 10 minutes of the first half left, and we're still looking for the opening goal. Holt's interception. Referee Hope waves Tom Wilson a few yards back. Here's Abercrombie. Looking for McDowell in the box. Well, there was a push by McDowell and Clark as the ball was in the air. The referee spotted that, but I think he allowed the goal kick, since United have possession in any event.
I think Jim McLean might have some harsh words to say at half-time, Jock, because his team can produce better quality passing than they're producing at the moment. They're giving the ball away a bit carelessly at times, and I'm sure he'll be very unhappy with that.
It's a good clearance from Clark. Didn't risk the pass back with Ian Ferguson closing in on him. So the throw to St Mirren. Here's Billy Abercrombie. Crunching tackle from Redford initially, and then from Bowman. Well, United certainly are known for their silky football, but they have some resilience too, especially in that midfield area, with some very tough tackling from Bowman, McInally, Redford. And Bannon also can put himself about when required. Here's John Holt. Bannon's header. There's Redford. Winnie remained calm despite pressure applied by Bowman. Good play again from Lambert, getting away from McInally. And look how quickly McInally got back to make the second challenge. This is Derek Hamilton. Neil Cooper made an angle for him at the back.
Neil Cooper's played very well in the game so far, Jock, that really I always think there's a potential threat from Paul Sturrock, but Neil Cooper has certainly diminished that today and kept himself very, very much in control of that situation at the back.
Bannon for United. Tackle came from McDowell on Holt, but the referee adjudges that to be a foul. One or two players carrying knocks now, and there's a bit of activity on the bench. We've had Paul Lambert limping a bit for St Mirren, Eamon Bannon and Maurice Malpass for United. Remember, it's Ian Cameron and Tony Fitzpatrick on the bench for St Mirren, and Paul Hegarty and Kevin Gallagher for Dundee United. Campbell Murray's just had one direct shot to handle so far in the match. No foul that time as Clark wins the high ball. There's Bannon. Hamilton to Abercrombie. McGarvey goes through the middle. McGarvey with Malpass. There was a foul there surely by McGarvey, but the referee allows play to go on with United in possession. This was promising for a moment for St Mirren. McGarvey sprinting through, trying to control it, didn't quite control it well enough, and then you see him holding the shoulder there of Malpass, the ball bouncing away from him anyway. Ferguson, this is Malpass, Bowman on the right, Redford through the middle. Now McInally. Bowman to Sturrock. Good return pass. And a fine tackle once again by Paul Lambert. What a player he looks for St Mirren.
Certainly a player for the future, Jock, and really looking at him today, he settled very, very well into this match. It's a tremendous experience for a young lad, especially someone as young as him.
Headed on by Clark, then by Bannon. And the 19-year-old Brian Hamilton calmly playing that away. Bowman back to McInally. This is Redford. That was intended for Bowman, but Lambert just got a touch. And Hamilton completed the clearance with a pass back to Money. And this is Neil Cooper. Malpass's header. 5 minutes of the first half left. Still no scoring. And not too many problems for the goalkeepers. The match being fought out principally in midfield, where the tackling certainly has been tough. The better passing over the piece coming from Dundee United, but the St Mirren defence looks very resilient indeed. There's the scoreline. And with no scoring here at Hampden, there's a third goal at Wembley, and it goes to Spurs. They're in the lead again by 2-1. That's Tottenham 2, Coventry 1 at Wembley. The scorer was Gary Mavett. Here's Sturrock. Heading for the byline, and he hoped for a corner kick. There was no deflection though, so a goal kick to St Mirren. And I fancy at half-time the happier manager may well be Alex Smith, Billy.
I don't think there's any doubt about that, Jock. They came here as underdogs. They know that their chances are perhaps holding Dundee United, frustrating them and maybe catching them on the break. And looking at it now, they now look as though they're going to reduce the chances of United winning to 45 minutes, because I can't see any breakthrough before half-time.
Well, it certainly would be a telling blow for either side if they could find the net in these closing minutes of the first half. But Campbell Money there, the St Mirren goalkeeper, and Billy Thompson at the other end. Certainly goalkeepers I'm sure the fans would like to see in action plenty of times, because that would mean we're seeing goal attempts and a chance of some superb goalkeeping. There's John Holt. Wilson's header. There's McDowell. So Kenny McDowell battling hard up front for St Mirren. There's John Holt towards Ian Ferguson. Cooper wins it again. This is McDowell. Now Hamilton. Appeared to be fouled by McInally. Well, McInally appears to have recovered from that heavy knock he took earlier on in the match. That's important for United both this afternoon and on Wednesday. There's the scoreline from Wembley. The two Tottenham goals coming from Clive Allen and Gary Mabbutt, and Dave Bennett getting the only goal for Coventry. There's McInally. Forced to play it across his own 18-yard line. It was a safe pass though, no problems at all, as John Clark had that area of the field all to himself. Here's Bowman. Hustled and harried by Abercrombie, forced to go back. Billy Abercrombie, the St Mirren captain, in the middle of the midfield. A very important role with two teenage players beside him, Brian Hamilton and Paul Lambert. The header by Cooper. Well, Neil Cooper really hasn't missed anything at all for St Mirren through the middle. Here's Neri. Now Holt with some space, but immediately closed down by Hamilton. Bannon inside to McInally. Bannon once again. Here's Holt. Good first-time passing from United. Sturrock now has made space. And Tom Wilson is forced to concede the corner kick. Very close now to half-time. John Clark and Dave Neri going right into the St Mirren box. Well, John Clark in particular, a potent threat inside the box for these set pieces, going right onto the near post. For the final minute of the first half, Neri is also there. There's Sturrock. Eamon Bannon now has the chance to send it back across goal. Headed on by Redford. There's Sturrock teeing it up for Bowman. Good effort from Bowman. Bowman looking for a corner kick. This was brilliantly created by Dundee United. Eamon Bannon retrieving that corner kick on the far side. The outswinging cross helped on by Redford. Now just look at Sturrock laying that down to Bowman. He kept the shot down well, and it's just about a foot wide of goal. See how close this was again from the other angle as Bowman lets fly with his left foot, and Money was relieved to see that go wide.
That could have been the moment in the goal that might have decided the cup final, because a goal at this particular time I think would take an awful lot out of St Mirren.
And the United fans still full of hope, but certainly they cannot be overconfident in view of the fighting display from St Mirren. Dave Bowman, incidentally, hasn't scored this season, and with that kind of clean strike around the box, that must be a surprise. There's Winnie's header clear. There's McGarvey. Now Hamilton. Under pressure from Bannon and McInally. Here's Dave Bowman again. Good save once again from Money, and he recovered quickly enough as Ferguson closed in. United making a big push for the opening goal, and Dave Bowman at the heart of it all once again. Taking the pass here from Jim McInally, trying this time with his right foot, and a good save from Money, feeding it out and going down at the feet of Ian Ferguson, and that's the final action of a very competitive first half. So with the cup final neatly in the balance, half-time score again from Hampden, St Mirren 0, Dundee United 0. Join us in the studio right after the break.
Why don't we do something together for once? I know. Let's stay in this evening and have a quiet drink.
Not a bad idea.
We could have a few nice friends around. Yeah. Well, that's agreed.
Right. Skull. Horribly good lager.
Vauxhall announced their new club range.
As I
An edition so special, their owners just can't wait for them to be delivered. Each club comes with an all-white exterior and a very distinctive interior, though they cost less than the price of our L models. The special edition Vauxhall Club range. Grab one while you can.
First, Gillette made shaving closer. Now we've made it smoother. Contour Plus with Lubristrip glides the razor more smoothly than you've ever felt before. Gillette Contour Plus. First we made it closer. Now we've made it smoother.
When it comes to news, some papers are clearly less than impartial. But if you want to develop your own opinions, you need the facts, in black and white. Choose your words carefully. Ask for the Observer this Sunday.
Judo's just one of a great number of sports. What's your sport? Get your free sports info pack, phone 0345 345 345 now.
Malibu. Paradise found.
Welcome back to the Scott Sport Cup final studio. A quick reminder, if you've just joined us, that the score at Hampden Park is no scoring between Dundee United and St Mirren, and a comment from our studio guests on that first half in just a moment. But right now we switch to Wembley, 94,000 people there, a tremendous record gate of £1.25 million. Spurs the overwhelming favourite, having won the Cup 7 times. Coventry there for the very first time, no FA Cup wins at all. Your commentator here is Brian Moore, with him is Ron Atkinson, and what a start for Spurs.
First little testing moment then here for Coventry City. Hoddle will float the free kick in. Allen's making a move. And Goff was in there too. Clive Allen looking for something on the turn, and Coventry getting it away but not very far. It's Waddle again. Good early pressure here from Tottenham. He's turned down. He's got the cross in. Clive Allen! An early strike for Tottenham. And Clive Allen takes the score to 49. A brilliant cross from Waddle. A lovely cross by Waddle. Curling it all the time. A glancing header, no chance for Brizovic. A tremendous strike for Tottenham. Downs trying to put a few things together. Regis. Downs with the left foot in again towards Houchin. A flick on by him. And a chance for Bennett. And it's 1-1. Clemens couldn't gather it. Bennett finished it off. And the score is 1-1. A good presentable long throw as well. Flicked on once more. Regis is there! No! Disallowed. last 5 minutes of the first half. 1-1 the score. Hoddle with the free kick. Goff is in there, Mehmet is in there! And Spurs are back in the lead. Well, it was an untidy goal, but it's one that's more than welcome for Tottenham.
Well, the verdict here in the studio was that may be one of the craziest goals of the year. An extraordinary one, Andy, wasn't it?
Looked like an own goal after that.
Well,
I think Brian Kilcline probably got the last touch.
Might well be in retrospect. Right, back to our own match at Hampden. A lot of good things in the first half from both sides. St Mirren perhaps surprising many people by the determination that they showed after a kind of slowy start. And indeed, one of the best chances early in the game came to St Mirren here. And they might well have done better here, I think.
Yeah, we talked about Billy Thompson beforehand, how confident he was coming for cross balls. And he's come for that one and made a hash of it, to be quite honest. And I think St Mirren will be disappointed it didn't have anyone there just to tap into what was a gaping net at the time.
Yes, and of course not long after that, Alec, we had Frank McGarvey coming in, doing what he does best, finding a little bit of space for himself and almost getting through.
Frank drifted to the back post here and turned inside. I felt he maybe should have tried to curl it on the other side. Or hit early, but Frank McGarvey's posing a problem now because I believe he's working in behind the midfield, United's midfield, on the side that the ball's at all the time, and he's picking up balls and hopefully he can maybe get a bit quicker support from St Mirren's midfield and maybe pose them more problems.
And St Mirren, I think, must be quite happy with that, although towards the end of the first half, as we'll see in a moment, in fact we'll see now, Dundee United began to put a bit more pressure on Andy. They stepped up the pace towards half-time, didn't they?
I was surprised how slowly United started, how easily they took it, but this was the first real piece of magic that we've seen from United, and this was after half an hour. A great run, I think it was the boy Redford, was it? Great run, yeah. A great little cross, it just deserved a tap in really there. But their attitude surprised me, United. I'm sure that Jim McLean will be giving them a right good talking to at half-time.
Yes.
Positive of it. I can't believe they're just trying to seem to be cruising through the game after. I can't believe it.
Do you think Alex Smith will change anything at half-time, Alec? He must be fairly happy with what he's seen so far.
Yes, definitely. The full-backs are getting down the sides. I think he'd maybe be looking for more balls coming in from down the sides because they're definitely getting forward. But there's not too many balls coming in.
Yes.
The lad McDowell and Ferguson are working up front, but they're too far apart at this moment in time because McGarvey's definitely getting on the ball, but he's not really got the strikers to play with.
Right, well, there we are. That was one of the closest things in the first half. Right now we're going to take a break, and when you rejoin us, we're going back to Hampden for the whole of the second half.
Wonder who's kissing her now. I wonder who's teaching her how. I wonder who's looking into her eyes, breathing sighs and telling lies.
If only everything in life was as reliable as a Volkswagen.
This red house gives you a mortgage from Torquay to Timbuktu. This red house insures your contents from concrete to bamboo. So don't freeze off your assets or let your cash vamoose. The Net Pro gives you sky-high interest, makes your money reproduce. For mortgages, insurance, or money in your trousers, join the national and provincial, and you're safe as little red houses.
Here's the new one from Shaw.
For people who lead an active kind of life, new Shaw Active Deodorant. It won't let you down.
Happiness
is a cigar called Hamlet, the mild cigar.
So I can now reveal that the murderer is left...
It stopped. You didn't set the video properly.
That is not the football.
Perhaps I set the wrong channel.
Getting your video programming wrong can be most irritating. That's why Panasonic have developed this ingenious method. The digital scanner reads the channel, date, time, and duration, and then flashes them into our slim, compact video, a bit like science fiction. The picture will be pretty good and pretty easy to get right every time. The new remote control G21 from Panasonic. We think we've thought of everything.
Ah, here's the new, here's the new... Well, anyway, the new Flymo chevron gives you stripes. So why slow-mo when you can fly-mo?
Marrowbone is marrowbone, tasty snack, wholesome too. Marrowbone is marrowbone, marrow goodness through and through.
If you enjoy feeding your dog snacks, make sure you give him Petcraft Marrowbone snacks. Crunchy biscuit outside and the goodness of real marrowbone inside.
Marrowbone is marrowbone, marrow goodness through and through. Marrowbone.
Well, welcome back to the second half of the cup final. Just seconds into the second half, and the teams out in the field, they're obviously anxious to get on with things. We've got no changes in the United lineup, and Billy McNeil and I considered there may be some injection of pace and so forth with Kevin Gallagher perhaps getting a look in the second half, but we'll have to see if he comes on before the end. Of course, with the prospect of extra time, both managers have to be particularly careful.
I think there's something in that, Jock, but equally I'm quite sure Jim McLean will have said one or two words of wisdom to his players, and he's looking for an immediate response to that.
So a goal kick to Dundee United, and we'll see the impact of any pep talk from Jim McLean at half-time. Andy Gray felt that the United boss would be having a few harsh words to say to get some urgency into the ranks. So there's Neil Cooper starting the second half the way he performed throughout the first, dominating in the middle of the St Mirren defence. There's John Clark, headed down from Brian Hamilton. Abercrombie playing it wide, taking a knock from McInally. Here's Ian Ferguson. That's for Brian Hamilton. Redford's recovery tackle. It came off Hamilton, and that'll be a United throw. Well, some protests on the St Mirren players, but that appeared to be perfectly correct. So St Mirren 2, leaving their subs on the bench. Ian Cameron and Terry Fitzpatrick as Tom Wilson flights it across. There's McDowell. And the goal kick is given. Kenny McDowell looking hopefully for a corner. But this was a good cross from the right, giving McDowell the chance to assert himself against Malpass. But behind it goes for the goal kick. Glorious sunshine now at Hampden, enhancing the occasion. The tackle was by Ian Ferguson. This is Winnie. Up goes McInally, with Abercrombie having a fair old tussle in midfield, these two. Lambert playing it wide. This is Tom Wilson. Neary stepping in front of McGarvey. Well, David Neary knows the abilities of Frank McGarvey only too well. So the throw will be taken by Tom Wilson. Here's Ferguson trying to get away from Holt and Bannon. Ferguson's layoff inside. There's Redford. Derek Hamilton going across to join his central defenders, with United playing no men up front on the flank, and down goes Ian Ferguson. The tackle by Holt, acknowledged by the United fullback, and a free kick in a promising position for St Mirren.
I think, Jock, we talked about Jim McLean having a few words of wisdom, but it's obviously Alex Smith's done something, because St Mirren are growing in confidence all the time, and they've started this game, the second half, very, very positively indeed.
And Neil Cooper, number 6 in the box for St Mirren as Billy Abercrombie lines up the free kick. Cooper couldn't reach it. It's come for Lambert. Well, he snatched at the shot. They had a bit more time, I think, than he realised. They could have controlled that, but they elected to let fly. You'll see the free kick coming in from Abercrombie. Cooper went for it and missed. Came all the way across to Lambert, and the left foot shot goes high and wide. Lambert's header. So free kick to St Mirren. Malpass obstructing McDowell to make sure the ball ran out. And the free kick's been given. Once again, the captain, Billy Abercrombie, will take it. Shot this time to Lambert. That's McGarvey. Malpass knocking it down for Clark. And no one at all on the left flank up front for Dundee United. So United yet to settle down in the second half.
You know, Joe, this young kid, Paul Lambert's growing in confidence all the time. That was a delightful little ball he put into Frank McGarvey there. If Ian Ferguson had supported Frank McGarvey, he might have been in a position to get a good shot at goal. This kid is starting to take a real big influence on what's happening out there.
17 years, 9 months old. Here's John Clark. Now Bannon. Ian Ferguson trying to lay that into the path of Sturrock on the left. Couldn't get a touch. So neither of the two Fergusons so far making a big impact on the proceedings. But they are the kind of players who could suddenly win the game for their sides. There's Ian Ferguson, a scorer of 30 goals this season. 28 for Dundee United, 2 for Dundee. Bannon picks it up from Hamilton. Here's Redford supporting the front two. That's his main task from midfield. There's Sturrock. And the tackle came from Neil Cooper once again. Redford winning it from Abercrombie, but no takers for United up front. Another player making a fine impact in the game, Neil Cooper.
For me, he's been the outstanding player, Jock. He's used his experience very, very well. He's calmed the young lad Winnie down beside him, and he's never really given either of those two, the D United forwards, a sniff of the ball.
Wilson, it's cut off by McInally, could go for the corner, but McGarvey retrieves it. Supported from the back by Wilson. Calling for the ball in the middle, Ferguson, Lambert, Kenny McDowell. Well, McGarvey certainly is unpredictable. Here's Jim McInally. He was fouled to the back by Brian Hamilton. Free kick has been taken too quickly for the liking of referee Hope, and certainly from the wrong place. Jim McInally forcing his way forward, trying to link with the front two once again. So John Holt will take the free kick. Playing it across towards Redford. It's won by Winnie. Abercrombie, returned by Malpass. And got a touch to the ball, but claimed by Money in the St Mirren box. Dowell did well, but the header didn't find McGarvey, and it's back with Billy Thompson. Both sides have stuck to their tactical pattern pretty rigidly throughout the match so far, although United are committing Ian Redford more and more into an attacking role in support of Ferguson and Sturrock through the middle. Here's John Clark. Sturrock is offside. The flag was up instantly as soon as Clark released that long pass. Dave Winnie now with the free kick. Switching it to the right to Wilson, former Queen's Park player. Ryan Hamilton. Good running by Wilson, and the pass swerves away from him. United, of course, giving these young midfield players very little time on the ball in midfield. McInally, now Abercrombie. John Clark's header into space for Holt. That's straight to Wilson. Good header by McInally. Here's Ian Ferguson. Now Holt. Start calling for the ball on the touchline. Well, that's asking a great deal of both Bannon and Redford, chipping that high ball into an area populated by St Mirren defenders.
Surprising me just a little bit, Jock, that the young lad Kevin Gallagher's not been coming on to take part in the proceedings, because I think this is what certainly the Dundee United need. I was almost tempted to say that the game needs, but Dundee United look a little bit frustrated up front because they haven't had the dominance that they had earlier in the game, and they haven't been able to provide some good service to those front two players.
A long throw won by Cooper again for St Mirren. This is Ian Ferguson. McInally turns it out. That's a throw to St Mirren. McGarvey wants it quickly. John Clark is with him. That's a throw to St Mirren at the corner flag. And St Mirren have not been tempted to send forward either of their central defenders, keeping the ball on the deck. And that's a United goal kick. McGarvey looks a little bit frustrated and disappointed. Indeed, an offside decision, I think, has been given just outside the box.
I think he gave it just Frank McGarvey gave it a little push on the defender there, Jock, and I think he's a wee bit annoyed with himself for being spotted.
Dale Cooper quite deliberately nodding that back to his goalkeeper. The long high ball from Billy Thompson really doesn't give Paul Sturrock or Ian Ferguson too much of a chance against the St Mirren defence. McInally's header, here's Redford, hustled by Abercrombie. Bad first touch by Neary. Tom Wilson gets there, the race is on with Neary. And Billy Thompson tells his skipper to leave it to him. Good clearance that by Thompson, well into the St Mirren half. Winnie. McDowell well tackled by Bowman. Ferguson wins it from Hamilton. There's Redford, Tom Wilson getting back. Bannon now can get there ahead of Money. And a corner kick's been given. And that was very sharp goalkeeping by Money. The St Mirren keeper made up his mind very early indeed. This could have been dangerous indeed. Tom Wilson under pressure. Redford was with him. Bannon going out, and Money was very quick to make that challenge. A short corner. It's back with McInally, now with Clark. Back for McInally. Brilliant play by McInally, and it's behind for the goal kick. Well, that was much more like it from Dundee United. Jim McInally once again at the heart of it all. Playing the 1-2 there with John Clark. Got his toe to the ball, but couldn't direct it on target.
That's the first real contribution we've seen from Ian Ferguson for the Dundee United jockey. He took that ball, sent in a beautiful reverse pass that created all sorts of problems for St Mirren at the back there. Culminated in that corner kick, and they almost got the breakthrough from that. A good bit of nice little 1-2 in the edge of the box, and Jim McInally was almost there to finish it off.
So a hold up now, treatment for the St Mirren fullback Derek Hamilton. I must confess I did not see him sustain that injury. Well, there's a very interesting banner from the United fans. So Derek Hamilton's back in position, and Campbell Money has the goal kick. Bannon. Here's Neil Cooper again. Still to put a foot wrong on the match. The central defender. Header by Clark. Here's Bannon. Haven't seen any real runs on the flank from Bannon so far in the match. Good tackling by Abercrombie. Here's Lambert. And the recovery made by Bowman. Bannon did well to shrug off the challenge from Abercrombie. This is Ferguson. Here's Malpass. Good support play by the fullback. And fouled from the back by Kenny McDowell in the act of shooting. This was excellent play from Maurice Malpass. The ball was played wide by Ian Ferguson. With Malpass coming up to support the attack. Now just watch as he sets up this shot on the volley. Kenny McDowell catches him in the act. And that's why the free kick's been given. Now this will be very interesting indeed. United have a number of ploys from these set pieces around the box. John Clark, of course, the man with the power. Redford, though, can curl this with his left foot, and the angle is just about right for Redford. Well taken by Money. His positioning behind his wall was good. But Redford using his left foot to good effect, flighting that over the wall, trying to bend it in, but Money took up good position.
Just every now and then, Jock, Dundee United give you an indication of superb ability and teamwork they've got in the side, and we saw one aspect of it there when Maurice Malpass came quickly up in the overlap to create that chance.
Now it's St Mirren fullback Tom Wilson. 15 minutes into the second half, still no scoring as Billy Abercrombie looks for an opening. Playing it wide to Lambert. That's towards McGarvey, challenged by Bannon. Bannon never really got the ball under control. There's a push by McGarvey on Holt. Frank McGarvey still a major thorn in the flesh of the United defence. Will Cooper's header. McGarvey's layoff towards Hamilton. That's for Ferguson. Good move from St Mirren. McDowell waits in the middle. Lambert is going to support him. And that is a corner kick. Now Ian Ferguson making an impact on the match. He has been very closely marked this afternoon. Dave Winnie, number 5, Neil Cooper, number 6. It's Billy Abercrombie with the corner kick, the in-swinger. Thompson's caught in no man's land. He started to come. There's McDowell. And that's a good save by Thompson. He must have seen that very late indeed. Now from the corner kick, you'll see Thompson start to come. Then he changes his mind. That's usually a major problem for a keeper. And as the ball comes through to McDowell, he keeps his shot down well, but Thompson's back in position.
We've had a lot more excitement in the second half, Jock, but just at the moment I think the game is crying out for a breakthrough, isn't it? It's crying out for a goal.
Now Jim McInally trying all he knows coming forward. He was fouled by Brian Hamilton from the back. So at the other end now, after that good St Mirren attack, it's United sending John Clark up. So Paul Sturrock will take the free kick. John Clark making a run from the back of the box. It's too high for Clark, and a comfortable catch for Campbell Money. Now here's McGarvey. Screening it well. Too much pace in the pass inside towards Lambert, and McInally sprinting back to a defensive role. Tireless worker for United. Long ball from Bannon, too far ahead of Paul Sturrock. And yet another goal from Wembley, an equaliser for Coventry City. It's Tottenham 2, Coventry 2. And we'll give you the scorer as soon as we get that news. And it's the FA Cup specialist Keith Houchin who's equalised for Coventry. So there's the update from Wembley. Kenny McDowell took a knock in that move, but it's United breaking now with Sturrock on the left. Now once again Neil Cooper leans into the tackle. So the throw will be taken by Bannon. Here's Sturrock. Back to Bannon. Taking on Wilson. Would like to make the byline, I'm sure, but prevented from doing that by the positioning of Wilson. This is Malpass. Complete miscue from the fullback. Bowman slightly misjudged the spin. This is McGarvey. No real chance there for Lambert. Bill Cooper again standing firm for St Mirren, and this is Holt for United. Now Bannon. Well, the pass goes between Redford and Holt. That would have been almost impossible had he tried it. Here's Brian Hamilton. Now McGarvey. Here Lambert. Derek Hamilton sprinting forward on the overlap. Good running with the fullback. And that was spotted early by Malpass, but Hamilton wins it for St Mirren. Billy Thompson. Top-class goalkeeping in the end. Thompson having a word with Malpass. Lambert with a pass. There was Hamilton. Malpass appeared to have this under control, was just a shade too casual, allowing Hamilton to win it, and a very good first-time cross, forcing that splendid save from Thompson. So now midway through the second half, still no breakthrough in terms of goals. And it would be a very brave man who would select the winner of this match. Remember, extra time will be played if the sides are level, and we'll bring you all of that if necessary. Here's Eamon Bannon. Now Holt. Closed down by Wilson. It's gone for the corner. Tom Wilson thought that Holt had the last touch. Corner kick once again, an in-swinger from Bannon, and he's waiting for John Clark. Too high again for Clark. Hamilton's header. Here's Holt. Bannon's onside, a chance to run it Abercrombie. Preferring the early cross to find the head of Neil Cooper. Malpass down to Holt. It's too far ahead of Sturrock. Paul Sturrock had to come back with the St Mirren defence who are pushing forward. Good leap by Ferguson. Here's McGarvey with Clark. And John Clark showed that he has a fine tongue of speed when required. Ian Ferguson linking with McGarvey with a head flick on. And the long leg of John Clark turned it behind. So it's Abercrombie again. Winnie is up. Goes Ian Ferguson with Bowman, comes down to Hamilton. Kenny McDowell trying to make room for the shot. Space denied by Malpass. That's good, cool defending. Now Ferguson. Here's Redford, here's Sturrock on the left. This is promising for United. They're getting players up in support. There's Sturrock making for the byline. And it's Paul Lambert back in defence on the 6-yard line. What a match he's had for St Mirren. Still the pressure's on. Here's Bannon. Oh, that's a wasted opportunity for Dundee United. Eamon Bannon going into the box with a lot of space and slashing that ball wide of goal. It was Redford breaking through the middle under the pass from Ferguson. Sturrock taking on Wilson, heading for the byline. As the cross comes over, it's Paul Lambert diving to hit the ball clear.
Kids going from strength to strength, Jock, but I just wonder if, as St Mirren tire, Dundee United might just find a space or two at the back there.
So Paul Lambert having to go back into defensive position to cope with another United attack. Being sparked off on the United left. Bannon's throw. Here's Sturrock. Neatly played to Bannon. Bowman coming in, but Campbell Money is in command inside his own box. Appears to have taken a knock. but he kept his eye on the ball all the time. So this is a very difficult cross for the keeper. Bannon with his left foot hoisting that across. Money making up his mind instantly to come for that. Bowman was the challenging United player. And the keeper is all right, sending that ball downfield. Not quite what Neary intended, but trying to rectify things by linking with Bannon. And then with Redford. Redford may be the player posing problems now for St Mirren in that role behind the front two. The out-swinging cross, there's Bowman, and again it's Lambert with the challenge. Up goes Bannon. Lambert again, coming out of defence. Fine play again from the youngster. Here's McDowell. Using his strength to hold off Malpass. That's for Abercrombie to chase. He hasn't enough pace, I don't think. Kenny McDowell certainly working hard and using his physique to take pressure off McGarvey and Ferguson. The header from Abercrombie. Neatly forward by Holt. That's Bannon inside to McInally. Here's Redford again finding space. No foul is given. As Neil Cooper who made the challenge. Wilson's pass finds Abercrombie. St Mirren have plenty of players forward. 6 up with this attack. One of them is Tom Wilson. Still Wilson coming inside. They caught Holt late and the free kick has been given, although the advantage might have gone to David Neary. Well, Tom Wilson clearly very angry with himself. He did so much good work on that far side without being able to send over a cross.
Billy Abercrombie might have given a more telling pass there, Jock, because he had the opportunity to set him in behind the back four, but I think he knocked the pass just that little bit too long.
So there's the scoreline. Still no breakthrough and still no indication yet as to which side may come out on top. An offside flag up against Redford on the far side. Ian Redford clearly didn't hear the whistle the first time. Free kick's already taken by David Winnie, back to his goalkeeper Campbell Money. So United have been balked in the last 3 attempts in the final by the Old Firm. And they're finding it just as difficult against the men from Paisley. Here's Ian Ferguson. Trying to make room for the cross, that's a good ball in, but an easy one in the end for Billy Thompson. So this chance to set up a header for one of his colleagues wasted by Ferguson. He made that easy for Billy Thompson. So still 2 each at Wembley. Coventry 2, Tottenham 2. So obviously a fine match and progress there. And there's Neil Cooper again thumping the ball way out of play, allowing his team the chance to regroup. And Dave Bowman now with the throw. John Clark has not gone forward to join the attack, so it'll have to be the short one towards Sturrock, I think. The marking is very tight again from St Mirren. Bannon now offering himself in the middle, but he's gone to Sturrock. Here's Bowman. Lofting it across to the far side. Redford trying to win it back for United. But there will now be a substitution. The first of the match. That's Ian Cameron, fresh from his university exams this morning. And he'll come on to replace Kenny McDowell. So McDowell, who's worked himself into the ground in the St Mirren cause up front, looks disappointed as he comes off. Congratulated by Jimmy Bond for his efforts. Ian Cameron, a player with lots of pace and energy, has gone into the attack to replace him. A little bit of reorganisation as an attack. McGarvey's through the middle with Ferguson now. Cameron favouring the left. McGarvey wins it back. Here's Ferguson. Cameron will get his first involvement in the play. Well, not even he has the legs for that pass. So another youngster in the St Mirren ranks, just 20 years old, Ian Cameron, doing an economics degree at Glasgow University. Bowman retrieves it for United on the touchline. He has support inside and up front from Sturrock. It's towards Ferguson, and once again it's read by Neil Cooper for St Mirren. There's Bowman. Now Sturrock. Bowman making the byline. The out-swinging cross, a good ball in, and Campbell Money looks very much on top of his job this afternoon. This is certainly not an easy ball for a keeper, especially in cup final circumstances, but that's well taken. Now Hamilton. Sturrock, who's giving him no room to come forward. Neil Cooper takes the ball from Hamilton. And we're entering a phase of the match, Billy, when an error could make all the difference.
Yes, it's a time in the match where defenders don't particularly enjoy, Jock, because they know an error is going to open up the whole game for them. But I think something that I'm quite pleased about is that St Mirren have taken a positive step. They've recognised the fact that they haven't created as much chances up front, so they're going to switch it about a bit and see if they can stimulate some activity.
So there's a foul by Neil Cooper on Paul Sturrock. 15 minutes of the match left as Neil Cooper gets a little lecture from Kenny Hope, who happily has not required to show any yellow cards this afternoon. And Paul Sturrock took a rap on the ankle from Cooper. That's why it's a free kick to Dundee United. And there is some activity on the Dundee United bench, I can tell you, below us, as Holt plays in the free kick. Bit of wrestling there by Bannon while the ball was in the air, and now a substitution will be made for Dundee United, and it's a bit of a surprise because it's Paul Sturrock who's coming off and Kevin Gallagher who's going on. Well, the United fans are clearly not happy about that. They would like Sturrock to remain on the field, and that really is quite surprising, Billy.
Well, Paul Sturrock's always a threat when he's on the field. I thought the obvious one might have been to take David Bowman off and put this lad on the right-hand side. But, you know, Jim knows exactly what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's got in mind, and certainly this, what I've seen of this young lad, Kevin Gallagher, he could activate things for United.
Another youngster coming on, a substitute, another 20-year-old. And he's scored a lot of goals this season for Dundee United, 16 in all, Kevin Gallagher. So here's Redford. McInerney offered himself inside, but it's Gallagher who wins it. That's Redford, good play by United. Tom Wilson missed the challenge. There's Bannon, this needs an accurate cross. And it's claimed once again confidently by Campbell Money. Lambert to Ferguson, that's a good layoff under pressure. Cameron. That's behind Lambert for Abercrombie. A neat sidestep away from Redford, but the free kick's been given. Kenny Hope's whistle had gone instantly. He was right on the spot, close to the play. I'm sure St Mirren, on reflection, would have preferred the advantage, but they have the free kick. Here's Ferguson, tackled by Neary. Redford now to Bannon. Ferguson and McGarvey are up in attack. Here's Dave Bowman. Cross towards Ferguson, it's missed by Cooper. I think he knew what he was doing, Neil Cooper. He realised that Ferguson was not able to reach that either, so a goal kick to St Mirren. Well, will the thoughts be turning towards extra time already, Billy, do you think?
No, I think, Joe, both teams will have thoughts in snatching something in the last 15 minutes or so. You know, this is it's an exciting part of the game because one slip at the back can mean death, and one good piece of skillful forward play can equally mean a big reward.
Ryan Hamilton over carrying the ball, running into John Holt. It's collected by McInerney. Now Redford. Gallagher battling hard, winning it. And Ferguson is brought down by Abercrombie. No ill feeling between Ferguson and Abercrombie as United have the free kick. So it's John Holt will take the free kick. 11 minutes of the 90 left as John Clark joins the attack. Played across by Holt towards Bannon. That's well judged by Bannon. A good cross inside. John Clark challenging, and it was well won by Derek Hamilton. There's Clark again, playing it wide. Bannon can reach this. A low one this time, and it's Hamilton at full stretch. The layoff from McGarvey, good play from St. Here's Ian Cameron. Abercrombie has Ferguson ahead on the right. Cameron wants it in the middle. Still Ferguson, that's towards McGarvey, but easily cut off by Malpass. Gallagher towards Redford, there's Neil Cooper. So a throw to United. Bowman back to John Clark. Now St Mirren have let that ball bounce. They could regret that. And very calm play again by Neil Cooper. McGarvey's header. There's David Neary. McGarvey once again. A very awkward ball. And it's Neary charging forward. He's pulled up for handball. Frustration all over the face of the United captain. Kenny Hope, and no doubt. But he's not happy that the free kick was taken while the ball was in motion.
I think we've got to mention Kenny Hope, because I think he's refereed the game superbly. There's hardly been any bit of bother in it, and I think a lot of that's down to the good refereeing.
Cameron. That was well controlled by Redford. He could so easily have allowed that to ricochet to a dangerous position for United. Bowman now to Ferguson. Appeared to be bundled a little by Dave Winnie. The referee saw nothing amiss. Yes, Holt. Now Redford. A miscue with a layoff. St Mirren of possession again. It's Ian Cameron. Setting it up for Abercrombie. Clark's header, and the first time shot from Cameron. Not a bad effort from the youngster. Kept it down well, but couldn't get it on target. Good play initially involving Cameron and Abercrombie. And when Clark's header came out, the first time shot from Cameron was wide of goal. Here's Brian Hamilton. 3 men up in attack, and it's Neary who cuts off the pass intended for McGarvey. Bannon and Neary working it on the left. Holt. There's Cooper. Clark undeterred by the challenge from McGarvey. This is Abercrombie, and now Winnie. St Mirren keeping possession well. Tom Wilson. Clark's header. Kevin Gallagher. He's away from Cooper, but Tom Wilson was sprinting back to cover. 8 minutes left, still no scoring. An interesting option still on the bench for both sides. United have Paul Hegarty, and that of course gives them the opportunity to consider pushing John Clark into the attack at any time, bringing on Hegarty at centre half. And St Mirren have Tony Fitzpatrick, who could come on when the pace is dropped a bit and use his creative skills from midfield if extra time is required. Cooper's header, there's McInally, now Bowman. Careless one inside, he thought McInally was there. But look at McInally winning that challenge and going forward again to put pressure on Hamilton. There's Bowman. Sending it back to John Clark. Winnie's clearance. And that's brought some noise from the United fans behind Campbell Money's goal. It's all a bit tense for the men from Tayside. Bowman's throw towards Bannon. They got a touch. Winnie's header falls straight to Bowman. Up goes Ferguson with Cooper. That'll be a corner. All the pressure mounting on the St Mirren goal. Can United find the goal which could win the cup all on its own? John Clark is there at the near post again. You have the clear impression that the first goal will be the winner. There's Gallagher. Headed away by Cooper to Neary. It didn't bounce kindly for David Neary at the edge of the box. He was hoping to have a shot at goal, I think. Now Malpass. Calmly brought down by Abercrombie. Good play by Malpass, but it's too far ahead of Gallagher. Good play from Cooper. Wilson. McGarvey to Ferguson. First time return pass. But John Holtz was very alert, not at all guilty of ball watching. He stayed with his man to send that out of play. Now, has the referee given a free kick? It looks like it, yes. Kenny Hope indicating there was a foul. So still deadlock at Wembley 2. 2 apiece between Coventry and Tottenham Hotspur. Cameron getting it back to Hamilton. 5 minutes left as Hamilton comes forward. Here's Cameron trying to make room for the cross. No luck at all for the Paisley youngster. And a goal kick to Dundee United. Now a managerial decision to be taken, Billy. Do you throw everything into attack now, or do you depend on the half hour's extra time?
I think this is the problem. I think most of us would elect for still keeping it nice and tight at the back, not making any mistakes, and hoping you can catch the opposing team just that little bit casual. I think that was Alex Smith's intention, bringing the young lad Ian Cameron on, because he's pushed a wide player up there and hoped to stretch the United just a bit.
And here's Ian Ferguson for United. Bolt at the edge of the box. Down goes Gallagher. The referee waves play on. The United bench rises. There's one looking for a penalty kick. Referee Hope instantly waving play on as Gallagher went down. Well, this is very interesting indeed. First there was a challenge on Ferguson. Well, I saw nothing wrong with that one initially. There was Gallagher, and he appeared to be caught from the back. The referee was in good position though. He waved aside the appeals, much to the annoyance of the United bench in particular. And no foul again. Play waved on as Cooper finds Cameron. Lambert was caught there by Malpass. He's still on the ground. There's Ian Ferguson getting away from Clark, but he's run out of space. And there will be a hold-up for treatment for Paul Lambert. Caught there by Maurice Malpass. Well, Paul Lambert's a player I'm sure St Mirren won't want to lose. He's lasted the pace very well indeed. So here's some activity though. Tony Fitzpatrick is being prepared for action. Well, Billy, what about the penalty kick?
I felt that the referee was right with the first claim. I didn't think that was a penalty. I'm not so sure that the second one wasn't a penalty drop, because I felt that Kevin Gallagher clearly took the ball, and it just looked just a little bit suspicious to me, as though it was one of the St Mirren players that brought him down.
Paul Hegarty on the United bench, the substitute, the club captain. He may well see some action before the day is out, as extra time looms in the closing minutes of the match. Still no scoring. Here's Dave Bowman. Gallagher's free inside. And that's good play by Tom Wilson. Good control, kept calm to turn it back to Campbell Money. So listen to the noise at Hampden as United come forward again. Here's Jim McInally, now Gallagher. Cut off by Cooper. Back to Holt. Now Eamon Bannon switching to his right foot. Up goes Ferguson. Lambert is there with the clearance. Just 2 minutes left. It's very nervy stuff now here at Hampden, and there's going to be a substitution. St Mirren are bringing off Paul Lambert. And what a welcome round of applause that is for the youngster. Jimmy Bone congratulates him as Tony Fitzpatrick comes on. Well, he's certainly a quality replacement for St Mirren. So Fitzpatrick goes straight into the midfield on the right side with Hamilton crossing, I think, to the left. So there's a free kick. So it's a free kick to United just inside the St Mirren half. So John Clark will take the free kick. We're going into the final minute of the match, apart of course from extra time. Unless there's a goal here. There's the header from Eamon Bannon. And a goal kick to St Mirren.
That substitution, Jock, will perhaps give them just a little bit more balance, and particularly going into extra time. But that young lad, Paul Lambert, can certainly look back in this final and know that the contribution he's made has been magnificent. He's had a tremendous game.
There's Ferguson. Now Tony Fitzpatrick involved in the play for the first time. Socks at the ankles characteristically as Abercrombie takes over. Ryan Hamilton is showing his versatility, switching to the left. An angry exchange here with Dave Bowman. Bowman caught Hamilton's boot after he played the ball away, and the referee is making sure there will be no continuation of any little feud. The match has been played over the piece in excellent spirit, and the referee's anxious to maintain that. Dave Bowman and Brian Hamilton exchange pleasantries, and we're now into time added on for stoppages. But remember, there will be extra time if there's no goal in these closing seconds. And it's still 2 apiece at Wembley, so extra time looming there also. Here's Neil Cooper. This is Tom Wilson. Now Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick leaves it now to Tom Wilson. A good tackle from Redford. Quite a few knocks have been given and taken out there, without any rancour of course, but just thinking a little bit further ahead for United in particular, there could be some problems for midweek. And it's out for a corner kick. So we've had a full minute of time added on, and a corner kick for St Mirren right in front of their mass support on the West Terracing. Now this could be the last attack for the 90 minutes. Can St Mirren make it count? Then in by Abercrombie, it's a very deep one. Cooper nods it forward. And that was Brian Hamilton. The snap chance on the volley. Well, that certainly would have brought the house down, I'm sure. The outswinging of the ball with an in-swinger, but very deep. It fell to Hamilton. The first time shot with the right foot. Maybe he'd have been better off with his left.
It was a great chance in the last minute, Jock. That would have been a real bit of drama.
And there goes the final whistle. So extra time we're now facing at Hampden. We'll be staying, of course, with the play for that. And extra time is the position 2 at Wembley. You may recall at Wembley that Clive Allen got the opening goal, equaliser from Dave Bennett. Then before half-time it was Gary Mabbutt who put Tottenham ahead. But here's the goal which put Coventry City back on level terms.
I think as soon as Trevor Peake went onto that ball, he played it a little bit blindly back to his keeper. Clive Allen was setting up straight away looking for the situation.
Hatchin. It remains a very, very good FA Cup final. And Hatchin! What a magnificent goal! 2-2! Bennett made it!
Well, that's the kind of goal-scoring action we haven't yet seen here at Hampden, but we have another half hour in which to see some goals. And of course we're into this fatigue factor now. Jim McLean is out on the field among his players, and he certainly is shaking some of them up. Billy, this of course is a very difficult time for a manager. What do you do in a situation like this with half an hour left and very tired players?
Well, I think the whole thing is about stimulation now. It's just to keep them going. It's keep them believing in themselves. It's keep the confidence that you hope they've got. The important thing I think most managers will be stressing was don't let's be careless at the back now. We've worked hard for an hour and a half. Don't let's ruin it all by being careless at the back. And both of them will be trying to instill some little bits of inspiration into the forwards, that they may be able to create something they haven't created over the course of the game.
Jim McLean, of course, has been in this situation before for Dundee United and stirring up his players. So there's Alex Smith on the left doing a similar job for St Mirren. Something of a newcomer to this situation at this level, of course. So they're the two managers in your picture now. Alex Smith doing some encouraging. Jim McLean appears to be distributing a bit more criticism among his players. He's certainly giving them a little bit of stick, I think. Clearly not entirely happy with the performance. Alex Smith, though, encouraging Brian Hamilton, number 10, the 19-year-old. And he certainly has no complaints about effort. Well, there's a tremendous show of support from Tayside. The Dundee United supporters showing the banners and the colours, which we'll see again, of course, on Wednesday night in the UEFA Cup final against Gothenburg. But credit too to St Mirren for a massive support. Now, where are they during the season when St Mirren are playing at home? First time, of course, in 28 years they've had the chance to celebrate a cup final. They won on that occasion in 1959 when I was lifted over the turnstiles and Billy McNeil was beginning a playing career. But we'll see the game with United in Gothenburg live on Wednesday night on Grampian and on Scottish television, the whole game exclusively. But before that, we've got to see if we can sort out a winner in the Scottish Cup. If there is no result after extra time, the match will go to a replay which will take place 2 weeks today on the 30th of May. So that, I'm sure, is something the players will be very keen to avoid if they can at this stage in this very, very long season. So the toss of the coin has been performed, and it will be St Mirren who will start the first period of extra time. 3 of the 4 substitutes have been committed. The one left is Paul Hegarty for Dundee United. So there is the tremendous scene at Hampden as the 102nd Cup final goes to extra time. So listen to the singing and cheering around the stadium from both sets of fans, trying to lift their favourites, and they certainly are entitled to feel very tired indeed. There's been no lack of effort, very tough play in midfield, lots of commitment. Happily it's been played in very good spirit. And the question now is, can either side conjure up a winning goal? So free kick to Dundee United. Will Cooper now marking Kevin Gallagher. He did such a fine job, and Paul Sturrock before Sturrock was replaced by Gallagher. So there's Bannon lofting it inside for Ferguson, trying to control that and set up the shot. Here's Jim McInally. Good effort from McInally, carefully watched by Money, who got his body behind the ball. You see initially Ian Ferguson trying to tee up a shot for himself, but then forced to play it back to McInally. Now the ball was kept down, bouncing awkwardly, and Money did well. And here's Frank McGarvey. Oh, that's a brilliant turn from McGarvey. McGarvey still going forward, stumbling and going down. The referee indicating a dive. And McGarvey, I think, showing some frustration there. He did the swallow dive inside the box, offering no complaint about not getting a penalty. Bannon's header. Ian Ferguson. Here's Hamilton. Now it's with Brian Hamilton and Derek Hamilton, both operating now on the one left, with Tony Fitzpatrick on, number 14, there he is, playing it back to Abercrombie. Winnie taking no chances as Gallagher puts on pressure. McInally, square it goes to John Holt. Here's Wilson. Good play from John Clark. That's using the pace of Gallagher through the middle. An awkward one for Winnie. Winnie is down. There's Gallagher. And it's brilliantly taken by Campbell Money, but the whistle had already gone. It wouldn't have counted, but it's still a fine piece of play by Money. There was the foul by Gallagher, knocking over David Winnie, and Money looking very calm indeed.
Yes, so Campbell Money's handling and his composure has been very, very good in the game. He hasn't been under all that great amount of pressure, but nevertheless, anything he's had to do, he's done it with a touch of class.
Bannon lofting it forward. There's Wilson. There's Ian Ferguson. Back it goes to Fitzpatrick. That's Thompson committed, and he had to take that cleanly with Cameron closing in. Thompson making up his mind early to come for that, using his 6'2" frame to good effect. So free kick to St Mirren. Fitzpatrick to Tom Wilson. There's Ferguson, tackled by Redford. So St Mirren trying to press forward. McGarvey still looks fresh. Certainly no youngster. Beaten there by Neri. So Ian Ferguson looks aggrievedly towards the referee. The ball was out of play, and the throw to St Mirren is taken by Wilson to Fitzpatrick. That's Neri to Redford. So Redford was fouled, and Ian Redford, the one player who's beginning to show some signs of fatigue, and you can't really blame him for that because he really has covered miles this afternoon.
Yes, he's worked very, very hard and had a very, very bright and promising spell midway through the second half, Jock, but we're looking for a bit of inspiration from either side now, really.
Fitzpatrick's header. There's Holt. Winnie. McInally, it came off Abercrombie. Neri taking up good position to cut off the pass which was intended for McGarvey. That's headed away by Fitzpatrick. Play, of course, now becoming rather untidy. Very difficult indeed, with legs feeling the strain to play accurate passes all the time under pressure. It's Fitzpatrick, he's certainly fresh enough. Good pass to McGarvey. Ferguson and Cameron and Hamilton are all up in support, but that's a careless one. Clark rather clears it. There's Neil Cooper. Back it goes to Money. Hamilton. A header by John Holt. So more news from Wembley. The lead has been taken by Coventry City, and that's quite a remarkable turn of events, and the goal was scored by a Tottenham player, so it's an own goal which has given Coventry the lead. 3-2 at Wembley, and still 0-0 here at Hampden. Here's David Winnie, and it's Gary Mabbutt who's completed an unfortunate double. He scored the second goal for Tottenham, he's now scored the third for Coventry. And Thompson again quickly off his line to deny Ian Ferguson. Here's Bannon. And that appeared to be a foul by Abercrombie. The referee plays the advantage as Bannon picks out Bowman on the right. Bowman looking for the cross. There's Winnie. Straight back to Bowman. Bannon calls for the ball, leaves it to McInally. I don't think McInally wanted to play a high ball forward. It's back with Malpass. And Tom Wilson's header goes accurately back to Campbell Money. There's Cameron. Brian Hamilton popping up on the far side, calling for the ball. 3 men in the box. One of them is Ian Cameron for St Mirren. Neri wins it. Here's Hamilton again now, Abercrombie. This is Cameron. Hustled by Bowman and by Malpass. Malpass blocks the cross. No question the quality of play has really dropped in extra time, Billy.
Well, I think we're seeing two tired teams, Jock, and looking at Dundee United, you just wonder if all those mountains have had to climb in recent months has taken its toll on them.
McInally plays it forward. It's through to Neil Cooper. Now Wilson. There's Ferguson, beaten by Neary. Bannon takes over. This is Ferguson looking for Neary. Redford was offside. So a free kick rather to St Mirren. And the referee, Kenny Hope, is having a word with Kevin Gallagher. I suppose that means there's been a bit of wordplay on the far side. Gallagher perhaps complaining about the offside. Well, it was Redford, I think, who was a culprit. Neary being challenged by Ferguson. Inside to McGarvey, a chance for St Mirren. Frank McGarvey was so anxious to have a shot on target. Perhaps could have controlled that. Ferguson certainly imposing himself on the United defence to set up the chance.
He was under a fair bit of pressure to drop, but it was a reasonable chance from Ian Ferguson. Put him through the middle. I felt he might have been better trying to control it quickly and then have a stab at it then.
Neil Cooper's header. There's Brian Hamilton. So a bit of pushing and barging by Kevin Gallagher. That's a free kick on the halfway line to St Mirren. Gallagher certainly very busy, but hasn't managed to find any gaps in the St Mirren defence. Here's Dave Winnie. Barron's header. Now Abercrombie. Tom Wilson. Checking inside, the far post ball. There's Ferguson. Under a lot of pressure, Ian Ferguson, as he turned that header towards goal. Trying to add to the 7 goals he scored this season for St Mirren since his transfer from Clyde back in September. For 5 minutes of the first period of extra time left. Still no scoring as Gallagher nods it wide to Bowman. Neil Cooper's in the way again for St Mirren, and it's now with Abercrombie and Hamilton. Ferguson, Cameron, Brian Hamilton, waiting for openings to appear. Cameron back to Hamilton, Derek Hamilton this time. Now Brian Hamilton. More confusing with these Hamiltons, now they're both operating on the left for St Mirren. Redford made the challenge and he has won the throw for United. Jim McInally has a lot of space to work in. Playing it forward for Holt. Strong play by John Holt. Well tackled by McGarvey. Holt, I think, was hoping for a corner kick, but it's sitting on the break. Ferguson couldn't reach it. Neary to Bannon. Here's Redford. Neil Cooper showing good vision. He saw all the problems around him to play that short ball to Wilson. And it's Wilson who takes it back from Money. Tony Fitzpatrick going on the outside of Wilson. So there's the throw off John Holt. So there's the throw which will be taken by Tony Fitzpatrick. Back it comes to Tom Wilson. Nodded behind by Bowman to prevent Ian Cameron getting a strike at goal. But a corner kick to St Mirren. Closing minutes of the first half of extra time. And the central defenders forward again. Brian Hamilton taking it. Billy Thompson goes up despite the attentions of Neil Cooper, makes a confident catch. He's been given a free kick. Fitzpatrick. Now Wilson. McAnally nodding it down for Gallagher. This is Redford. Ian Ferguson. Hamilton to Ferguson. Has a chance to have a go at goal now. Good effort from Ferguson. That was Billy Thompson at full stretch. He may well have had it covered had it been going in. But good play here on Ferguson. He only had one thought when he took possession, to have a shot at goal. And it's not far away.
If you were a betting man, Jock, I think the money might be slightly in favour of St Mirren now, because they look as though they're that bit stronger and that bit sharper. They look that bit fitter. I think United are paying the consequence of all those hard games in Europe at the moment.
Bannon playing it towards Gallagher. He lets Neil Cooper play it out for the throw. Yes, I'm sure the last thing United want is a replay. They have unhappy memories, of course, of the last Scottish Cup final replay in 1981 when they lost 4-1 to Rangers after a 0-0 draw. And a shot born out of fatigue goes well wide from Malpass. Maurice Malpass has scored only once this season and certainly didn't threaten on that occasion. Jim McAnally urging on the United players. Ferguson wide to Cameron. St Mirren certainly looking as though they're the fresher side. Cameron lofting it across, Brian Hamilton coming in, and Bannon did a fine job for Dundee United. He took a knock in the face, heading that away from Brian Hamilton. But Ian Cameron here stretching his legs, making for the byline and sending over a good cross, which Bannon had to turn away, and it was Hamilton who gave him the knock. So it's just about half time in extra time as Billy Abercrombie lines up the corner. Headed away by Neri to Ferguson. Well off target, and that may well be the last attack of the first period of extra time. And the whistle has gone, so it's half time here at Hampden in extra time, and it's still no scoring. But there will be a change for the second half for Dundee United, I'm sure, because Paul Hegarty has prepared himself to join the action. We still haven't had an indication as to who may come off for United. The team's normally turning straight round, but the only real chance of that first period of extra time coming when Ian Ferguson linked up with Frank McGarvey. There was the ball which came forward, Ferguson lofting it in, McGarvey elected to try to shoot instead of control it, and the chance was lost. So United have had second thoughts for the moment about introducing Paul Hegarty to the play. They have left things alone for the second period of extra time, so 15 minutes left this afternoon. 15 minutes to try to find a winner of the 102nd Cup final. It's still a 3-2 to Coventry City at Wembley. Gary Mabbitt, the unhappy player who conceded the own goal to put Coventry ahead. Here's Bowman coming forward for United. Redford is onside. This is a great chance for Dundee United. There's Gallagher. Now Ferguson. It's in, but there's an offside flag up. It will not count. Kevin Gallagher was on the goal line offside. The goal is being chopped off. Oh, what drama here at Hampden. Redford broke, put it across. Money got the vital touch away from Gallagher. There was Ferguson, but Gallagher's momentum had carried him to the goal line, and the goal has been chopped off. We'll see why again. There's Gallagher, he's missed it. He's on the goal line as Ferguson shoots. And once again, controversy will rage about the interfering rule
in offside situations. Ferguson giving the linesman Bill Crichton from Bankery a bit of stick for raising his flag instantly as he did. Ian Redford is being booked on the far side for his protests. So there's the first yellow card of the match for Ian Redford. Billy, what about that?
Well, Joe, as far as I could see, I felt that Ian Redford was in an offside position in the first instance, and I felt the linesman was very, very late and guilty of not putting the flag up. Having said that, I think it's a goal. I don't really think that the player was interfering with play after that.
Well, Kevin Gallagher certainly at that point was not seeking to gain an advantage, which is what the rule book says. But it's no goal, and still deadlock at Hampden. Sitman coming forward, undoubtedly having had a let off. Ferguson chesting it down towards Hamilton. Handball by Ferguson. The free kick inside the box. It'll have to be taken again. Free kick to Dundee United. And United players are certainly in danger of losing control here. They're clearly aggrieved at that decision, and they're still venting their wrath towards the referee. But there's going to be another substitution. I think the fourth official is Alan Ferguson, the referee. Steve Murray taking instructions from the director's box from Jim McLean, and there's no change at the moment for United. Here's Gallagher. Inside now to Ferguson. Tackled well by Hamilton. John Holt carrying the ball out for the throw. Well, that certainly will be the major talking point if there is no winner this afternoon. That goal scored by Ian Ferguson. It's very interesting, Billy McNeil taking the view that Redford was offside initially. There's Bill Crichton, the linesman who gave the decision. And now it's with Abercrombie. There's Eamon Bannon. There's Fitzpatrick getting away from Bannon, one of the freshmen in the field. Here's Tony Fitzpatrick. There's Cameron with a header, still has possession. Feeding it out to the flank again to Fitzpatrick. Here's Tom Wilson. Gallagher busily trying to close him down. This is Fitzpatrick again. Now with McGarvey, there's a feeling now abroad that there may well be a winner coming. There's Brian Hamilton with Dave Bowman, who did a good defensive job for United. McInally with a header down to Malpass. Ian Ferguson checking back. And it's Derek Hamilton thumping the ball out. So Bowman leaves the throw to Malpass. Malpass again. That's for Gallagher to chase if he can keep the ball in play, but it's off the shoulder of the linesman, Bill Crichton. And a throw to Sitman. Turned away by Malpass. Derek Hamilton back to Winnie. So the header by Barron is picked up by Wilson. Well, it's looking for a run from Ian Ferguson. John Holt keeps it in play. Does he? No, he's turned it away. That's given away to Sitman, and United could regret that. Here's McGarvey. Still Frank McGarvey teasing David Neary. Holt's header out. Up goes Neary again. That's towards Gallagher. Good turn by Gallagher. And then space on the left is Ian Ferguson. Here's a chance for United. Redford, Gallagher and McInally all up with the attack. There's Gallagher. And a very important interception by Campbell Money. He's very quick off his line, this keeper. Billy Abercrombie. Good bit of control from Hamilton. That's for Ferguson. He's away from Clark. A chance for Sitman. There it is! Ian Ferguson! Thompson on his knees. The celebrations begin. 20 minutes into extra
you know, Joe, look at that. A real bit of good forward positive play because he shrugged off the challenge, kept his head and put it in the space that was available to him. I was almost tempted to say when that goal was chalked off for Dundee United that St Mirren's name was on the cup. It certainly looks like it now, but all credit to them. They've battled, they've been the underdogs, they've worked hard, and I think that they've dominated the extra time.
So Paul Hegarty is on to replace Ian Redford in the United ranks. They pushed John Clark forward into attack. 10 minutes for United to save the cup final. But it could be 1959 all over again. Here's McInally for United. The tackle was by McGarvey. Here's Tom Wilson. And all the noise you hear now coming from the St Mirren fans to our left. Here's Brian Hamilton, who played a vital role in that goal. He showed excellent control in the chest, taking a pass initially, and then playing it forward for Ferguson. A foul by Bowman. Down goes Cameron. So Ian Ferguson, who scored that vital opening goal in the semi-final against Hearts. That was a fine goal indeed. And yet another, perhaps even better in the final, and it may well be enough to take the cup to Paisley for the first time since David Lapsley held it aloft in 1959. There's Hegarty, pressurised by Ferguson. Here's Tony Fitzpatrick. And that's not far away either. Floating the ball beyond Billy Thompson, right of the target. But Ferguson again very much involved in setting up play for St Mirren. Back it goes to Fitzpatrick. And it's not far away from that far post. There's the header from Neary. And of course, that goal gives fresh impetus to the St Mirren players' legs. They certainly will not be feeling any fatigue now with the prospect of getting their hands on the Scottish Cup. United now forced to draw on all their reserves of stamina and courage and character. And with St Mirren now looking so determined, it really is a tough task. There's McGarvey, stopped by Holt. Fitzpatrick to Brian Hamilton. So a goal kick to Dundee United. Abercrombie, the skipper, organising his players for the inevitable final push from Dundee United. There's no way these United players will give up easily. So just over 5 minutes left in extra time. St Mirren leading by 1-0. Ian Ferguson the scorer. And that was in the 110th minute. At Wembley it's still 3-2 to Coventry, so both sets of underdogs look to be on course to win the trophies. But here come United. John Clark is up with the attack now, but that was a good clearance by Hamilton. Hamilton going up with Gallagher. There's Abercrombie playing it back to Money. Good control there from McGarvey. Back it goes to Fitzpatrick. Possession very much the name of the game now for St Mirren. They want to keep the ball, prevent United building up attacks. McGarvey has it. And it comes now to Cameron. The second goal, of course, would be the extra. And it's just over from Thompson. The extra lift would be provided by Cameron had he scored there. What a magnificent effort. Played in by McGarvey. Look at Cameron now controlling it, turning, looking for the gap. Not challenged at all by the United defender, and that's a great save from Thompson.
Magnificent save, Jock. A lovely effort from the young lad Ian Cameron. Good composure, good left foot, and almost pulled it off for himself there.
Oh, St Mirren now going for the jugular. They have 4 minutes to hold out. Of course, a second goal would ease all the strain and let them enjoy the occasion to the full. Here's Abercrombie. Shooting it forward. Missed by both Hamilton and Ferguson. So there's Thompson now launching the long ball forward. Off goes Derek Hamilton.
Man of the Match award, incidentally, or the Mr. Superfit award, as it's known, has been given to Neil Cooper of St Mirren, and certainly, Billy, would take no issue with that, would we? Jim McInally's free kick. Up goes Paul Hegarty, couldn't reach it. So a goal kick after Mr. Superfit of the afternoon. Neil Cooper recovers from that head knock.
I don't think anyone could really disagree with that, Jock, because he's had a superb match and he's marshalled St Mirren's defence so well, and he's so competent. He's kept Dundee United's chances to a real minimum. He's had a superb match.
A header from Ferguson. There's Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick plays it out, and it'll be a throw to United. There's Jimmy Bowen on his feet on the track for St Mirren, calming things down. This is certainly not a situation which St Mirren are familiar with, holding on to a slender lead in a major final. So there's the throw. Ian Ferguson, and the challenge is by Hegarty. This is Ferguson towards John Clark. Clark got a touch, clashing there with Cooper, and the goal kick is given. Eamon Bannon's on the ground inside the centre circle, and there's going to be trouble here for Ian Ferguson of Dundee United, and this is clearly for a bit of speech play. He was furious, Ferguson, about the goal being chopped off for United in the first half of extra time, or sorry, just in the second half of extra time, in fact. And now the referee, Kenny Hope, is telling Ferguson a few home truths. He's taken the pencil from the top pocket, so there will be a yellow card for United's leading goal scorer. So this is the worst possible situation for Dundee United. A stamina sapping second half, and then extra time. Defeat looking likely, and a major European final to come. They're the happy St Mirren bench. Eamon Bannon's in a lot of trouble. He's signalled to the bench that he has a groin problem. There's Hegarty nodding it forward. Ferguson gives chase with Tom Wilson. And Ian Ferguson is in danger of losing control of himself. There's the United bench. Very anxious faces indeed. Gordon Wallace signalling some instructions onto the field. There's Holt's throw, won by Neil Cooper. There's McInally finding the space. Fitzpatrick comes it forward. That's a throw though to United. Jimmy Bowen looks very happy indeed. We're into the final minute of extra time. St Mirren seconds away from glory. Here's the free kick. David Neary taking it, and maybe United's last chance. Up goes Hegarty, misjudged it. It's back with Kevin Gallagher. We're in now to time either on for stoppages. It came off Brian Hamilton, and it's mopped up at the back by Campbell Money. And from Wembley, I can tell you that Coventry City have won the FA Cup for the first time in their history by 3 goals to 2. Own goal by Gary Mavitt, enough to win the cup for Coventry. And here at Hampden, that solitary goal from Ian Ferguson of St Mirren looks as though it's enough to take the Scottish Cup back to Paisley. Referee Kenny Hope is checking his watch. Whistling from the Paisley fans. There's an offside decision there, but the referee allows advantage. He's still checking his watch carefully as Billy Thompson thumps the ball forward. We're just seconds away. There's the final whistle. The St Mirren bench erupts. Ian Ferguson is the goal-scoring hero. 110 minutes into the match, he scored the goal which takes the cup to Love Street. And the celebrations begin. There the St Mirren fans, I'm sure they can scarcely believe it. And we have down there on the field, Sally McNair with the goal-scorer Ian Ferguson.
Congratulations. You got the winner, you had to wait a long time for it.
Oh, I was just glad it came, Sally, you know. the ball came through him and I just ran on it.
You seem to enjoy scoring in big games. You scored in the semi-final as well.
Well, as long as I can keep scoring, that'll keep me happy.
You had to work really hard the whole game. You were being heavily marked, weren't you?
Yeah, I was hard living in the game and I just get the break and I took it well.
I saw Jimmy Bone having a word with you before extra time. What advice is he giving you?
He wasn't too pleased with me. He was telling me to start making runs and stop being lazy.
What do you remember about your goal?
I just remember Brian Hamilton putting it through to me, and I can remember the boy Clark trying to hold me off. So I just headed on in front and I just beat him for a bit of pace.
Ian, I know you're off to Singapore tomorrow. Enjoy your holiday. Well done. Thanks very much indeed. That was great.
Yeah, thank you.
So there's the fans as Ian Archer now has the St Mirren manager Alex Smith.
We played well, I thought. You know, it was a long game, but I thought we stuck to our task well, and in the end it was a great goal that won it.
It wasn't a great Classic Cup final for 90 minutes. All the action was during extra time.
No, but I mean, there was two teams who were well matched and well organised, and it was always going to take a flash of brilliance that was going to win it. And unfortunately for United, when they got caught a wee bit with a through ball for Hamilton, Ferguson was absolutely brilliant going through and finishing like he did. That's Ferguson.
Is this the best day in your football career?
I would think it would be, aye.
You're going to give us a big smile for all of Paisley.
Well, there it's now then. I promised it on Sunday, and that's it now.
Good. Have a good night, Alex. Aren't they the best supporters?
Oh, look.